Chapter 2980. The situation is urgent now. The Dark Demon race will attack the Supreme Harmony Demon sect at any time. Let's go now. After a brief discussion with Polar Snow and the others, Mo Qingyun stood up and instructed Babilai, who stood beside him. All right. Babilai nodded in agreement when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. Mo Qingyun left with Babilai and hurried to the Supreme Harmony Demon sect. Qingyun, the journey to the Supreme Harmony Demon sect is a bit long. You can save some time with my lightning shuttle flying ship. After sending Mo Qingyun and Babilai out of the true Alpha Demon Hall, Lei Muwen took out her flying ship and handed it to him. Mo Qingyun didn't reject the flying ship that Lei Muwen handed to him. He took the flying ship and said, "All right, we're going. You can all go back." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he took control of the flying boat and set off for the Supreme Harmony Demon sect. Under Mo Qingyun's control, the flying ship turned into a bolt of lightning and sped through the starry sky. With our current speed, we'll reach the Supreme Harmony Demon sect in a day at most. Controlling the Thunder Shuttle airship, Mo Qingyun calculated the time and knew how long it would take. Babilai was shocked when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He was a little shocked by the flying ship's speed. However, he was happy to see such a situation. In his opinion, the sooner they returned to the Supreme Harmony Demon sect, the safer they could be. A day later, just as Mo Qingyun had estimated, they only used a day's time to arrive at the Supreme Harmony Devil sect. Oh no, the Dark Demon race is attacking. Arriving not far from the Supreme Harmony Demon gate, intense battle scenes entered Mo Qingyun's line of sight. Seeing this situation, Mo Qingyun's expression became heavy, and a sense of anxiety appeared in his heart. Then, he put away the lightning shuttle and charged into the sect with Babilai. As soon as they entered the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate, Mo Qingyun took out the 9-Bull Divine Sword and slaughtered the Dark Devil race's experts. Under Mo Qingyun's frenzied attacks, one dark demon after another was blasted apart by the tyrannical sword light. In just a few moments, the number of dark demons that had died in Mo Qingyun's hands had reached over 100. After killing over 100 dark devils in a row and carving out a bloody path through the battlefield, Missouri Qingyun said to Babilai, "Master, you organize the disciples. I'll go kill a few of the dark devils' commanders." Just now, when Mo Qingyun attacked, he also observed the battlefield and found a few dark demon commanders. All right. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Babilai nodded and went to organize his disciples. As for Mo Qingyun going to kill the Dark Devil commanders, Babilai wasn't worried. The Dark Devil race that attacked the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate wasn't especially strong. The few commanders were only at the initial and intermediate Sector Lord realm. Before Mo Qingyun reached the Sector Lord realm, he was already able to kill Sector Lords. Now that he had broken through to the Sector Lord realm, it shouldn't be a problem for him to kill those at the initial and intermediate Sector Lord realm. "I'll kill you first." Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he appeared beside a commander and slashed down. The 9-Bull Divine Sword flashed and slashed out a sword light that slashed at the commander with lightning speed. So strong. Sensing the sword light's aura, this initial Sector Lord commander immediately revealed a terrified expression. Under the envelopment of Mo Qingyun's sword aura, he felt like he was in an ice cellar. While he was panicking, he didn't just wait for death. He immediately dodged and prepared to escape. He was clear that with his strength, he wasn't a match for Mo Qingyun. However, just as he was about to flee, he realized he couldn't move. This situation gave him quite a fright. How is this possible? Why can't I break through his space imprisonment law? Seeing the space around him being imprisoned, this commander revealed a shocked expression and his eyes opened wide. Without waiting for him to calm down, he saw a sword flash past and hit his head in a domineering manner. Poochie! The sword light flashed past and penetrated his head, scattering his primordial spirit. His primordial spirit was dispersed by a domineering strike. This initial stage Sector Lord Realm Commander died with unwillingness. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Babel was immediately shocked. He couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He said in shock, "I didn't expect Qingyun's strength to reach such a level after not seeing him for a while." He originally thought that with Mo Qingyun's current strength, even if it wasn't difficult to kill a Sector Lord, he would need some time to deal with the Sector Lord. Who would have thought that Mo Qingyun would use a single sword to kill a Sector Lord? This combat strength was too terrifying. Not good, Commander Ziqi has been killed. Damn kid, how dare he sneak attack Commander Ziqi, he's courting death. Let's attack together and deal with that kid. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the other Dark Devil commanders charged at Mo Qingyun furiously. Soon, they surrounded Mo Qingyun and joined forces to attack Mo Qingyun. A bunch of ants. Seeing the Dark Demon commanders attacking, Mo Qingyun smiled contemptuously, a look of disdain appearing on his face. Shortly after, Mo Qingyun waved the Nine-Bull Divine sword and blasted out an arc of sword light. When Mo Qingyun waved his sword, a profound dual spatial imprisonment law was emitted from his body. Being enveloped by the dual spatial imprisonment law, they were like Ziqi and lost the ability to move. What is going on? Why can't I move? Such a strange spatial imprisonment law. It's close to twice as strong as a normal perfect spatial imprisonment law. This kid is too strange. If we can't break free from the spatial imprisonment, we will be slain by his sword. Seeing the situation they were in, the leaders of the Dark Demon race showed intense fear on their faces. Before they could think of a solution, the sword light flashed past their bodies and left behind a hideous wound. Chi. Being struck by the sword light, they were instantly killed and their bodies turned to mush. Seeing the power of Mo Qingyun's sword, Babi Lai, who was organizing his disciples, was stunned on the spot. 5 Sector Lords were killed by Mo Qingyun in a single strike. More importantly, there were 2 intermediate Sector Lords among the 5. I still underestimated Qingyun's strength. He's actually this strong. Looking at the skinny figure not far away, Babi Lai took a deep breath and couldn't calm down for a long time. Mo Qingyun's current performance had exceeded his expectations. While Babi Lai was shocked, he was more excited and happy. To him, the stronger Mo Qingyun was, the better. It would prove that he didn't misjudge Mo Qingyun. Chapter 2981. Our commanders have been killed. Run. After discovering that their commanders had been killed, the remaining Dark Devil race's morale plummeted as they fled for their lives. Mo Qingyun's face turned cold as he watched the Dark Demon race's troops retreat. His figure flashed as he chased after them. As Mo Qingyun chased after them, he constantly swung the Nine-Bull Divine sword and slashed out streaks of sharp sword light. PFFF. Under Mo Qingyun's attacks, the Dark Devil race was killed one after another with fear and unwillingness. In the blink of an eye, Mo Qingyun had killed thousands of Dark Devil race members. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the remaining Dark Devil race members were frightened and their morale plummeted. The Dark Devil race was so frightened that they threw away their helmets and armor. On the other hand, the members of the Supreme Harmony Devil sect had their morale boosted as they followed Mo Qingyun and chased after them. About a quarter of an hour later, the Dark Devil race members that had invaded the Supreme Harmony Devil sect were all killed by Mo Qingyun and the others. After killing all the Dark Devil race members, Mo Qingyun returned to Babeli's side and said, "Master, immediately gather everyone. Once everyone is gathered, we will leave this place. I'm worried that after this batch of Dark Devil race members is killed, there will be new Dark Devil race members coming." After hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Babi Lai didn't dare to hesitate and immediately went to gather the members of the Supreme Harmony Devil sect. Under Babeli's command, the remaining members of the Supreme Harmony Devil sect immediately gathered together. After gathering all the members of the Supreme Harmony Devil sect, Babilai went to clean up the sect's treasury and took away the sect's cultivation resources. After everything was settled, everyone boarded the Lightning Shuttle flying ship and prepared to head to the Absolute Beginning Devil Palace. Just as Mo Qingyun and the others were about to leave, another batch of Dark Devil race members arrived and blocked their path. Not good, the Dark Devil race members are here. We can't leave. So many sector lords, close to 10 of them. The auras of those two are so terrifying. They are definitely not at the World Overlord realm. Could they be emperors? If a great Emperor realm expert appears, won't we be dead for sure? The Supreme Harmony Devil sect is only a 4-star force. Why would they alert an Emperor realm expert? Sensing the strength of the Dark Devil race, the Supreme Harmony sect's disciples were dumbfounded. Soon after, expressions of despair appeared on their faces. Ziqing Rong, it's actually him. Mo Qingyun saw a familiar figure among the Dark Devil troops. Who would have thought that when I see him again, his cultivation base is already in the Great Sage level. It seems he's recovered the cultivation base of his past life. When Mo Qingyun was sizing up Ziqing Xie also noticed him. A cold smile appeared on his face as he said, Mo Qingyun, who would have thought that I would meet you here the moment I came out of seclusion? It's as the saying goes, enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Hearing Ziqing Rong's words, Ba Bailey's expression changed and shock flashed across his eyes. He had never thought that Mo Qingyun would have a grudge against an Emperor realm expert. It seemed like it wasn't an ordinary grudge. If Ba Bailey knew that Mo Qingyun had killed several great Emperor realm experts in the Purple Heaven Holy Ground, he would be even more shocked. I also didn't think that a stray dog like you would be able to turn over a new leaf one day. Looking at the arrogant Ziqing Rong, Mo Qingyun mocked him. His expression gradually turned cold as he said, although I'm surprised that your cultivation base has reached the Great Sage level, since I can kill you once, I can do it again. What a boastful brat. You're about to die and yet you're still so arrogant. Hearing Mo Qingyun's arrogant words, the great Emperor realm expert beside Ziqing Rong scolded him angrily. Immediately after, he waved his hand at the person beside him and said, Ziqing, go and capture that brat and hand him over to His Highness the Demon Sun. Yes. Ziqing immediately cupped his hands and accepted the order. Immediately after, he prepared to take action and capture Mo Qingyun. Wait a moment. Seeing Ziqing's action, Ziqing Rong's expression turned solemn. He raised his hand to stop Ziqing and said, Elder Zifei, this brat is not simple. I'm afraid that Ziqing is not his match. It's better that I deal with him personally. Demon Son, you, hearing Ziqing Rong's words, Zifei widened his eyes in shock. He thought that he had misheard. He would never have thought that Ziqing Rong would deal with him personally. He thought too highly of Mo Qingyun. Seeing Zifei's reaction, Ziqing Rong smiled faintly and said, Elder Zifei, you haven't fought with him before. You don't know how powerful he is. You can't underestimate him. If you dare to underestimate him, you will pay a painful price. After Ziqing Rong finished speaking, his body flashed and he flew towards Mo Qingyun. Recalling Ziqing Rong's words, Zifei was completely stunned. He felt that it was unreal. Mo Qingyun, I will deal with you personally. I hope that you won't disappoint me. Ziqing Rong's body flashed and he appeared above Mo Qingyun with a faint smile on his face. His demeanor was filled with mockery and contempt. Thank you for thinking so highly of me. However, I still don't want to fight with you. In the face of Ziqing Rong's provocation, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly as if he was having a heart-to-heart talk with an old friend. Although Mo Qingyun's strength had increased greatly, he was still not confident that he could fight with a great sage expert. When Mo Qingyun was speaking, he pointed at his glabella and summoned Churn. He said, Churn, stop this person for me. Don't let him hurt others. Yes. Hearing Emo Qingyun's order, Anchen nodded and rushed towards Zi Qingrong. Immediately, a great sage aura was emitted from Anchen's body. A great sage expert. Zi Qingrong was shocked when he sensed Anchen's aura. His expression became solemn as he said, Emo Qingyun, you really can surprise people as usual. I didn't expect you to have a great saint expert by your side. Fortunately, I was prepared this time. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have fallen into your trap again. As soon as Zi Qingrong finished speaking, he calmed himself down and focused on dealing with Anchen's attack. Your Highness Devil's Son is wise. That kid is really strange. Seeing Anchen's appearance, Zi Fei's old face trembled. His eyes were filled with intense shock. No matter how strong his imagination was, he would never have thought that Emo Qingyun would have a great sage expert by his side. Even if he has a great sage expert protecting him, it won't change the current situation. After he calmed the shock in his heart, Zi Fei's expression turned gloomy, and he emanated intense killing intent. I don't believe a kid at the initial stage of the World Lord realm can go against an emperor. Zi Fei cursed in his heart. His figure flashed and he flew towards Emo Qingyun. End of chapter. Chapter 2982. Kid, let me see what you're capable of. You're worthy of the Demon Prince's attention. Zi Fei's figure flashed a few times. He arrived in front of Emo Qingyun and slammed his palm towards Emo Qingyun. Zi Fei waved his palm and a terrifying emperor's might exploded from his body. Under Zi Fei's great emperor's pressure, Babilai and the others trembled. Their faces were filled with fear. Master, take the disciples and retreat far away. I'll take care of this person. Seeing Zi Fei's attack, Emo Qingyun instructed Babilai and went up to Zi Fei. Hearing Emo Qingyun's instructions, Babilai didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately took the disciples and retreated. When Babilai and the others retreated, Emo Qingyun arrived in front of Zi Fei and slashed at him. Eternity! Emo Qingyun swung his sword, and the 9 oxen divine sword flashed with light, blasting out a sharp sword ray. Subsequently, the sword ray collided with the palm's shadow and blocked its attack. Bang! There was a loud sound. A terrifying saint power storm erupted where the sword light and the palm's shadow collided. Facing the Saint Power Storm, Emo Qingyun and Zi Fei hurriedly retreated and distanced themselves from the storm. After a short while, the Saint Power Storm slowly dissipated. Zi Fei's palm's shadow was also on the verge of collapsing. However, Emo Qingyun's sword light didn't show any signs of weakening. Zi Fei's pupils constricted when he witnessed this scene, and a wisp of surprise surged into his eyes. He said, The light from his sword has dispersed my palm, yet its might hasn't weakened at all. This kid is really too strange. After fighting with Emo Qingyun for one round, Zi Fei saw that Emo Qingyun wasn't normal. His expression became grave. Soon after, the contempt he had for Emo Qingyun was completely dispelled. Compared to the shock in Zi Fei's heart, Babilai and the others who were watching from the side were even more shocked. Senior brother Emo is too strong. He can actually fight against a great emperor. Senior brother Emo is only at the initial stage of the Sector Lord realm, and he can already fight against a great emperor. If he breaks through to the great emperor realm, he'll be even stronger. That's nothing. I heard that senior brother Emo hasn't even cultivated for 100 years. He broke through to the Sector Lord realm in less than 100 years. His talent is terrifying. Looking at Emo Qingyun's performance, the disciples of Supreme Demon Sect were filled with admiration. Babeli's feelings were similar to his disciples. However, while Babilai was excited, he was also a little worried, because there were still a few world lords from the Dark Devil race who hadn't made a move yet. If they made a move, the Supreme Harmony Devil Sect wouldn't be able to withstand it. Now, Emo Qingyun and Anchen were both entangled. There was already no one who could help them. While Babilai was worried, Zi Fei's face turned cold. He ordered his subordinates, "All of you, attack immediately. Kill them all. I want to see how this brat is going to stop us." "Yes." Hearing Zi Fei's order, Zi Qin and the others immediately responded and attacked Babilai and the others. Seeing Zi Qin and the others' actions, Babilai and the others trembled and their faces turned pale. With their strength, they definitely weren't a match for Zi Qin and the others. Not good. Master and the others won't be able to fight against them. Seeing the actions of Zi Qin and the others, Mo Qingyun's expression was startled, and he became anxious. Then, Mo Qingyun summoned Gu Fan's corpse to deal with Zi Qin and the others. Gu Fan's corpse emitted a powerful aura when it was summoned. Everyone was shocked. Under such circumstances, the sudden appearance of a quasi-emperor expert would have a huge impact on the situation. "I didn't expect this kid to have such a trump card." Zi Fei's eyelids twitched when he saw Gu Fan's corpse. He was even more shocked. The longer he fought with Mo Qingyun, the more he realized how extraordinary Mo Qingyun was. He finally understood why Zi Qingrong was so cautious when facing Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was able to equalize the situation when they had the absolute advantage. His ability was too terrifying. Quasi-boundary Emperor. Sensing the aura of Gu Fan's corpse, Babeli's expression changed and he was pleasantly surprised. He hadn't expected that Mo Qingyun would still have a trump card up his sleeve at this point. At the same time, he understood that their lives were no longer in danger. Go. After summoning Gu Fan's corpse, Mo Qingyun controlled it to attack Zi Qin and the others. Then, Gu Fan's corpse stood next to them. Terrifying shockwaves spread out from the battle. "Old man, what other skills do you have? Show them all." Mo Qingyun controlled Gu Fan's corpse to block Zi Qin and the others. He looked at Zi Fei provocatively. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zi Fei's face darkened and he was furious. He felt helpless. Although he was furious, he couldn't do anything to Mo Qingyun. His various methods were all easily neutralized by Mo Qingyun. "Since you don't have any other moves, I'll start my counterattack." Seeing that Zi Fei didn't attack for a long time, Mo Qingyun's face darkened and he took the initiative to attack. When Mo Qingyun attacked, he activated the Gate of Destinies to increase his fighting strength. As Mo Qingyun made his move, two doors of light emitting a mysterious power rapidly formed on his body and entered it. Then, Mo Qingyun comprehended the power of the two mysterious laws. Space compression, time prohibition. After comprehending the power of the two light gates, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and slashed at Zi Fei with his sword. The divine sword of 9 bulls flashed and a ray of sword light shot out. It emitted a sharp aura. Following that, the power of the laws was infused into the sword light, causing it to become even more powerful. What a powerful sword! Sensing the power of the sword light, Zi Fei's expression changed. His eyes were filled with shock. Then, he didn't dare to hesitate and prepared to dodge the sword light. However, when Zi Fei was about to dodge, a domineering time prohibition enveloped him. Under the power of the laws, Zi Fei found that everything around him was restricted except for his thoughts. Sensing this situation, Zi Fei activated the time prohibition in an attempt to break through the double time prohibition. However, he was surprised that even though he used all his strength, he couldn't break through the time prohibition. What a strange law! Realizing that there was something wrong with the double time prohibition, Zi Fei was so frightened that his old face trembled and he panicked. The ability that Mo Qingyun displayed had completely shattered his understanding of the world. Chapter 2983. Before Zi Fei could break through the time law, the sword radiance was already in front of him, heading straight for his head. Looking at the sword radiance that was rapidly approaching him, Zi Fei was so frightened that his face twitched and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He knew very well that if he was hit by the sword radiance, even if he did not die, he would lose a layer of skin. Break through! Understanding his situation, Zifei roared angrily as he frantically tried to break through the double-time prohibition law. Under Zifei's violent attacks, the double-time law that enveloped him was finally broken through. After breaking through the double-time law, Zifei did not dare to hesitate at all. He immediately blocked the sword radiance that was nearing him. Shadow of boiling darkness. Zifei flipped his palms, and a terrifying saint power condensed between his palms. The saint power gathered crazily, and quickly turned into a sea of saint power that was bubbling like boiling water. Bam! After the sea of saint power was completed, it charged towards the sword radiance and instantly swallowed it. Seeing that his superpower had swallowed Emo Qingyun's sword radiance, Zifei's expression relaxed. In his opinion, although Emo Qingyun's sword radiance was powerful, it was not enough to break through his superpower. Before Zifei could recover from the shock in his heart, he saw a ray of sword light piercing through the sea of saint power. Then, the sword radiance hit his chest and pierced through his body. His chest was pierced through forcefully. Zifei's face turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Looking at the wound on his chest, Zifei's eyes widened. He could not believe that this was real. His all-out attack had not been able to block Emo Qingyun's superpower. This result had shocked him. The great emperor who was fighting with Qingyun was injured by him with a single strike. Babilai, who was watching the battle from afar, was shocked when he saw Zifei's situation. Emo Qingyun's ability to fight with Zifei had already shocked him. He did not expect that Emo Qingyun would be able to injure Zifei after fighting with him for a while. This result was too shocking. Upon seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, the disciples of the Supreme Harmony Demon sect were all stunned. Emo Qingyun's performance had already exceeded their scope of understanding. They didn't know what to say. Zifei is injured. He has actually grown to such a level. Zi Qingrong, who was fighting with Chen in the distance, noticed that Zifei was injured. His expression immediately became serious. Because he had fought Emo Qingyun several times, he was very familiar with Emo Qingyun and did not dare to underestimate Emo Qingyun. However, he did not expect that even though he thought highly of Emo Qingyun, he still underestimated Emo Qingyun's strength. Emo Qingyun's growth speed had completely exceeded his expectations. We can't let him continue to grow, otherwise, no one will be able to suppress him. As Zi Qingrong thought of this, a strong killing intent emanated from his body. Then, Zi Qingrong's face darkened as he pointed at Chen. Great demon abyss heaven severing finger. As Zi Qingrong pointed his finger, a terrifying dark saint power gathered on his index finger. As the saint power shot out, it grew rapidly and turned into a huge black whirlpool. Then, a terrifying devouring power burst out from the black whirlpool. Facing Zi Qingrong's attack, Chen did not dare to take it head-on. He immediately retreated. As Chen retreated, Zi Qingrong left the battlefield and charged toward Emo Qingyun in a flash. After a few flashes, Zi Qingrong arrived behind Emo Qingyun and pointed at Emo Qingyun. Dark dragon heart-piercing finger. Zi Qingrong thrust out his finger, and a gush of terrifying dark saint power turned into a black thorn finger radiance. The speed of the finger light was extremely fast. In a flash, it arrived behind Emo Qingyun. At this moment, Emo Qingyun was fighting with Zifei. He did not notice Zi Qingrong's arrival at all. Then, Zi Qingrong's spike hit Emo Qingyun's back. Bang! After being hit by the spike, Emo Qingyun was sent flying. His qi and blood were in turmoil. Emo Qingyun was sent flying for a distance before he could stabilize his body. He looked at Zi Qingrong with a pale face and said, "Zi Qingrong, I didn't expect that after breaking through to the great saint level, you're still as weak as before. You only know how to sneak attack people from behind. However, I'm really disappointed with your great saint level strength. It's as weak as if you can't get hard." My finger attack with all my strength only managed to injure him slightly. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Zi Qingrong's eyelids twitched. He was extremely shocked. He believed that with the spike of his spike, even a great saint would be injured. As a result, Emo Qingyun only felt a little better after being struck by his finger. To be exact, Emo Qingyun's current situation could not even be considered as a light injury. He only had a slight surge in his qi and blood. It had to be said that this result was too terrifying. This kid has such a terrifying physique. I'm afraid even a saint emperor can't compare to him. Seeing Emo Qingyun's defense, Zi Fei was shocked. He could not help but break out in a cold sweat. If even Zi Qingrong could not hurt Emo Qingyun, wouldn't he be even worse? How could he fight Emo Qingyun in this way? How did this kid cultivate? He can actually withstand the attack of a great saint expert. Emo Qingyun's shocking performance made Babilai speechless. He had suffered a huge blow. They were both sector lords, but the difference in strength between him and Emo Qingyun was like heaven and earth. While everyone was shocked by Emo Qingyun's performance, Chun came to Emo Qingyun's side and said, "I'm useless. I couldn't hold him back and allowed him to sneak attack master. Please punish me. I'm fine. You don't have to blame yourself." Seeing Chen's performance, Emo Qingyun waved his hand and said, "Next, I'll hold back Zi Qingrong. You go and deal with Zi Fei. Try to finish him off as soon as possible." "Yes." Hearing Emo Qingyun's order, Chun immediately nodded in response and launched an attack on Zi Fei. Seeing Chen's attack, Zi Fei was so frightened that his pupils shrank. A smear of panic appeared in his eyes. He knew very well that he was definitely not Chen's match, as he had just entered the Great Emperor realm. After letting Chen deal with Zi Fei, Emo Qingyun sneered. He turned to look at Zi Qingrong and said, "Zi Qingrong, let me see what you're capable of now that you've broken through to the Great Saint realm." Saint Power Pegasus. Emo Qingyun did not underestimate Zi Qingrong when he attacked. He immediately condensed the Saint Power Pegasus. Immediately, Emo Qingyun rode on the Saint Power Pegasus and started to fight with Zi Qingrong. Seeing that Emo Qingyun took the initiative to attack him, Zi Qingrong was enraged. His face became as dark as ink. He was a dignified great sage expert, yet he was actually toyed with by a world lord. This was something he couldn't tolerate. "Humph! I'd like to see how many attacks you can take." After blocking Emo Qingyun's attack, Zi Qingrong snorted and started to fight back against Emo Qingyun. Zi Qingrong was indeed a great saint expert. The moment he attacked, his aura was monstrous and caused the sky to change color. End of chapter. Chapter 2984. If you want to hurt me, you have to catch up with me first. Facing Zi Qingrong's attack, Emo Qingyun was not afraid at all. He rode on the Saint Power Pegasus and dodged quickly. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished his words, his figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. Seeing Emo Qingyun dodging, Zi Qingrong's face changed and became ferocious. Emo Qingyun's speed was too fast. Even if he gave it his all, he could not touch the corner of Emo Qingyun's clothes. Most importantly, if he could not kill Emo Qingyun this time, it would be difficult for him to have such an opportunity in the future. After all, it wasn't common for Emo Qingyun to fight him one-on-one. "Humph! You'll know soon enough whether I can kill you or not." Zi Qingrong's figure flashed and he chased after Emo Qingyun, attacking him crazily. Facing Zi Qingrong's attack, Emo Qingyun's expression turned solemn and he was extremely focused. Although Zi Qingrong could not catch up with him, Zi Qingrong was a great saint expert after all. If he underestimated or was careless in the process of fighting with him, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, Emo Qingyun did not panic at all. He had fought with a great saint expert before. Although Zi Qingrong was powerful, he was only slightly more powerful than Zi Shao. There was not much of a difference. Therefore, as long as Emo Qingyun was careful, Zi Qingrong might not be able to hurt him. Emo Qingyun, Now that you're in front of me, do you only know how to run away with your tail between your legs? Looking at Emo Qingyun, who was dodging left and right, Zi Qingrong's face darkened. He could not catch up with Emo Qingyun at all. He couldn't even touch the corner of Emo Qingyun's clothes, so how could he kill Emo Qingyun? Zi Qingrong's provocation was immediately seen through by Emo Qingyun. A disdainful smile appeared on Emo Qingyun's face as he said, Zi Qingrong, your low-level provocation is useless against me. After replying to Zi Qingrong, Emo Qingyun continued to dodge. He did not want to confront Zi Qingrong directly. His idea was very clear. As long as he could hold Zi Qingrong back, Enchen could deal with Zi Fei in peace. With Enchen's strength, it would not take long to deal with Zi Fei. After Enchen killed Zi Fei, he could come over to help and attack Zi Qingrong together. At that time, no matter how powerful Zi Qingrong was, he would be powerless. With Zi Qingrong's intelligence, he naturally knew what Emo Qingyun was thinking. Understanding Emo Qingyun's intention, Zi Qingrong's face darkened, and an intense cold light flashed in his eyes. He said, Emo Qingyun, you want to delay me and let that person deal with Zi Fei. This is a good idea, but you have to deal with me while controlling the Quasi-Emperor corpse to fight. Can your mind withstand it? This guy is really not easy to deal with. He actually saw through me. Hearing Zi Qingrong's words, Emo Qingyun's face darkened, and his heart sank. Zi Qingrong was right. He had to control Gu Fan's corpse to fight while riding the Saint Energy Pegasus to deal with Zi Qingrong. It was indeed exhausting his mind. With his current situation, he could only last for 100 breaths at most. If Enchen could not deal with Zi Fei within 100 breaths, the situation would be completely reversed. Therefore, Emo Qingyun's current move could be said to be a huge gamble. If he won the gamble, he would make Zi Qingrong pay a painful price. If he lost the gamble, everyone on their side, including him and Enchen, might die. We'll know if I can withstand it or not when the time comes. Emo Qingyun's expression was solemn. After replying to Enchen, he continued to dodge rapidly. Seeing Emo Qingyun dodge rapidly, Zi Qingrong's attack did not slow down at all. He chased after Emo Qingyun crazily. Under Zi Qingrong's crazy pursuit, not only was Emo Qingyun's mind exhausted, but his saint energy was also exhausted at a terrifying rate. Slowly, Emo Qingyun's dodging speed slowed down. Seeing Emo Qingyun's situation, Zi Qingrong sneered and said, Emo Qingyun, it seems like you can't hold on any longer. Let me send you on your way. As soon as Zi Qingrong finished his words, he blasted out with his finger. Terrifying saint energy condensed on his finger. Great demonic abyss heaven severing finger. A black finger light blasted out and exploded with a terrifying devouring power. It wanted to suck Emo Qingyun in. Sensing the terrifying devouring power, Emo Qingyun frowned and immediately dodged with all his might. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed. He escaped from the finger force's area and appeared not far away. As soon as Emo Qingyun appeared, Zi Qingrong chased after him and blasted out another finger attack. Go to hell! Zi Qingrong struck out with his finger, and another black finger radiance burst out from his finger. Seeing Zi Qingrong's action, Emo Qingyun's face turned cold. A ruthless look flashed in his eyes as he said, Humph! Do you really think I won't fight back? I'd like to see who will be the last one standing. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished his words, he activated the Divine Sword of 9 Bulls and slashed at Zi Qingrong. Eternal. Defense ignore. Double space compression. Double time prohibition. When Emo Qingyun swung his sword, he also activated a few rules and added them to the sword light. Immediately, the power of Emo Qingyun's sword increased by a few levels. The sword light blasted out and arrived in front of Zi Qingrong in a flash. Zi Qingrong panicked when he saw this. Immediately, Zi Qingrong hesitated. He was considering if he should clash head-on with Emo Qingyun. Just as Zi Qingrong was hesitating, the sword light arrived in front of him and caused him to be unable to dodge. Ziqing-rong's expression turned even colder when he saw this. A vicious look appeared on his face as he said, "As long as I can kill Emo Qingyun, even if I have to pay a price, it's worth it." With this thought in mind, Ziqing-rong's attacks became even more ferocious. He decided to fight it out with Ziqing-rong. Facing Ziqing-rong's finger force attack, Emo Qingyun did not dodge. Bang! Bang! Emo Qingyun and Ziqing-rong did not dodge. They were both hit by each other's attack, and were sent flying backward together. The two of them retreated nearly 10,000 meters before they could stabilize their bodies. Their faces turned pale. Pucci. After Emo Qingyun stabilized his body, he spat out a mouthful of blood and his aura became weak. Sensing his condition, Emo Qingyun's eyes turned cold. He stared coldly at Ziqing-rong and thought to himself, as expected of a great saint's all-out attack. Even with my current physique, my chi and blood were in turmoil. I almost lost my combat strength. While Emo Qingyun was shocked, he also felt a sense of relief. However, when Emo Qingyun saw Ziqing-rong's appearance, he smiled faintly. Ziqing-rong was in an extremely sorry state. Not only were his clothes ragged, his hair was disheveled, and there was a hideous wound on his chest. Judging from his appearance, he was in a much worse state than Emo Qingyun. Those who did not know the truth might have mistakenly thought that Emo Qingyun had won the head-on clash. Looking at the sorry state Ziqing-rong was in, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "Ziqing-rong, you're just so. Let me try to take another blow from you." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he rushed toward Ziqing-rong in a flash. Chapter 2985. Seeing Emo Qingyun take the initiative to attack, Ziqing-rong's expression trembled, and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. He didn't expect Emo Qingyun to be so crazy, ready to exchange his life for his. Emo Qingyun definitely won't fight me to the death. He must be stalling for time. After calming himself down, Ziqing-rong's face darkened as he tried to guess Emo Qingyun's intention. Thinking about this, Ziqing-rong's expression became even more gloomy. He exuded a strong killing intent and said, "Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Let's see how many more of my attacks you can take." As Ziqing-rong finished his sentence, his figure flashed as he charged towards Emo Qingyun. Soon after, Emo Qingyun and Ziqing-rong clashed as they attacked each other crazily. Boom boom boom. As Emo Qingyun and Ziqing-rong attacked each other crazily, powerful Saint Power storms spread out with the two of them as the center. Taking on the attacks and the impact of the Saint Power storms, their injuries started to worsen. Puff puff, after taking on another attack, Emo Qingyun and Ziqing-rong flew backwards as they spat out mouthfuls of blood. Soon after, their complexions turned even paler, and their auras weakened slightly. As Emo Qingyun's injuries worsened, his control over Gu Fan's corpse weakened. Soon after, the battle strength of Gu Fan's corpse was greatly weakened. With the battle strength of Gu Fan's corpse weakened, he couldn't suppress the few sector lords that were fighting with him anymore. Seeing this, Ziqing-rong sneered proudly and said, "Emo Qingyun, let's see how long you can last. In a while, you'll be exhausted and won't be able to control the corpse to fight. They'll kill your disciples." As soon as Ziqing-rong finished his sentence, he attacked even more crazily, as though he wanted to speed up Emo Qingyun's exhaustion. Hearing Ziqing-rong's words, Emo Qingyun's face darkened and he started to feel anxious. From his current situation, he could at most last for another 50 breaths before he couldn't control Gu Fan's corpse to fight anymore. Without Gu Fan's corpse, Ba Bailai and the others wouldn't be able to fight against the few sector lords from the Dark Devil clan. What should I do? After understanding the current situation, Emo Qingyun's mind raced as he tried to think of a way to resolve the crisis. Then, Emo Qingyun looked at Enchun. He wanted to see how Enchun was doing. As soon as Emo Qingyun saw it, his face darkened even more. Zifei seemed to have received Zi Qingrong's signal. She didn't fight with Chen head-on. Instead, she endured her injuries and ran away. Rongzizizes, Z Rongzizizes to kill Mo's twos. The situation to twos, Rongs twos buys. S to test twos. Seeing the situation on Chen's side, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold, and determination flashed in his eyes. Now, the relationship between him and Zi Qingrong had reached a point where only one of them could survive. Immediately, Mo Qingyun's attacks became even more desperate. He didn't even try to defend or resist. Are you crazy? Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Zi Qingrong's expression changed drastically. He was shocked. He could tell that Mo Qingyun's current actions really meant that he wanted to take him down with him. When Zi Qingrong noticed this, he hesitated in his attacks. He was faintly being suppressed by Mo Qingyun. Even a great sage was suppressed by Qingyun. Seeing Mo Qingyun's battle, Babilai and the others who were watching from afar were petrified. This situation was simply too unbelievable for them. However, while Babilai was shocked, he was also worried. He said, with Qingyun's current situation, he can't hold on for too long. I have to think of a way to help him. Babel muttered to himself. He made a decision and turned to Shenliang, who was beside him, and said, Grand Elder Shenliang, you stay here and stabilize the disciples. I'll go and help Qingyun. After Babilai finished speaking, he flashed and flew towards Gu Fan's corpse. Ba Bailey's figure flashed a few times, and he arrived beside Gu Fan's corpse. He started fighting a Dark Devil Race sector lord. Next, a sector lord of the Dark Devil Race started fighting Babilai. A sector lord Dark Devil was held back by Ba Bailai. The pressure on Gu Fan's corpse was reduced. Immediately, Mo Qingyun's pressure decreased too. However, it couldn't change the current situation. Final struggle. Seeing Babeli's actions, Zi Qingrong snorted and disdain appeared on his face. In his opinion, Babeli's actions were his final struggle. It couldn't change the final outcome. Zi Qingrong's expression turned cold after seeing Babeli's disdain. He stopped dodging Mo Qingyun's attacks and said, Mo Qingyun, it seems like you're at the end of your rope. You actually asked an ant to help you. As Zi Qingrong stopped dodging, Mo Qingyun's pressure suddenly increased. He seemed to be powerless. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Zi Qingrong was even more pleased. He said, Mo Qingyun, you should give up resisting. You're all going to die today. Is there no other way? Realizing that his situation was getting worse and worse, Mo Qingyun's mood became even heavier, and he became even more anxious. At this moment, Mo Qingyun was distracted and he was hit by Zi Qingrong's finger. Bang! Under Zi Qingrong's finger, Mo Qingyun was sent flying. He spat out blood. After sending Mo Qingyun flying, Zi Qingrong's attacks didn't stop. He continued to chase after Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun moved. He caught up with Mo Qingyun and attacked Mo Qingyun crazily. Bang! 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 Under Zi Qingrong's crazy attacks, streaks of sharp finger radiance landed on Mo Qingyun's body. Soon after, Mo Qingyun's injuries became more and more serious. Master! Chen was shocked when he saw Mo Qingyun's situation. He became worried. Immediately, he gave up on Zifei and flew toward Mo Qingyun. Seeing Chen's action, the smile on Zi Qingrong's face became wider. He said, Mo Qingyun, it seems like you're at your wit's end. You need someone to help you. Zifei, stall that guy for a while. I'm going to send Mo Qingyun to hell. Hearing Zi Qingrong's order, Zifei immediately nodded. After that, he chased after Chen and quickly blocked Chen's path. You're courting death. Seeing that his way was blocked, Chen's face darkened. He was furious. Following this, the attacks he displayed also became a bit stronger. However, Zifei didn't back down. He was determined to buy time for Zi Qingrong. Chapter 2986. Mo Qingyun, it seems like you've miscalculated. No one will come to save you. Seeing that An Chen was held back again, Zi Qingrong sneered and looked pleased with himself. Although Zi Qingrong was pleased with himself, his attacks didn't slow down at all as he continued to attack Mo Qingyun. Bang! Under Zi Qingrong's domineering attack, Mo Qingyun was once again sent flying, and the injuries on his body worsened. After Mo Qingyun stabilized himself, he spat out a mouthful of blood and his aura weakened. Before Mo Qingyun could calm his surging qi and blood, Zi Qingrong attacked again with a sinister smile on his face. Looking at Zi Qingrong's expression, he seemed to be confident in his victory and felt that he could defeat Mo Qingyun for sure. What should I do now? Looking at his situation, Mo Qingyun's expression tensed up as his mind spun quickly. Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment before a ruthless look appeared on his face. He made a decision in his heart. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun began to focus and condense the saint energy in his body. As Mo Qingyun condensed his saint power, the aura he exuded began to rise rapidly. Sensing the change in Mo Qingyun's aura, Zi Qingrong's expression changed as he guessed Mo Qingyun's intention. Mo Qingyun was preparing to break through to the intermediate sector Lord Realm. Trying to break through in front of me? I think you're looking for death. After understanding Mo Qingyun's intention, Zi Qingrong sneered as a mocking smile appeared on his face. Presumably, in his opinion, Mo Qingyun's current action was an extremely foolish one. Zi Qingrong shouted coldly. His figure flashed as he attacked Mo Qingyun. Soon, Zi Qingrong arrived in front of Mo Qingyun and pointed at Mo Qingyun. Facing Zi Qingrong's attack, Mo Qingyun did not dare to stay any longer. He immediately retreated. Mo Qingyun rode on the Saint Power Pegasus. His figure flashed and pulled away from Zi Qingrong. Humph! Let's see where you're going to hide. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, the sneer on Zi Qingrong's face deepened. Then, he continued to pursue Mo Qingyun, and his attacks became even more ferocious. Under Zi Qingrong's crazy attacks, Mo Qingyun's aura started to become chaotic. Obviously, Zi Qingrong's crazy pursuit had a great impact on his breakthrough. No, I can't condense Saint Power while being chased by Zi Qingrong. Sensing his situation, Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed tightly, and his mood became a little heavy. If he couldn't condense his saint energy, he would have a 90% chance of failure if he tried to break through to the intermediate sector Lord Realm. Most importantly, if he failed to break through, he might suffer a backlash. By then, even if Zi Qingrong didn't make a move, an ordinary sector lord would be able to kill him easily. Thinking of this, Mo Qingyun gave up on breaking through and continued to think of other ways to resolve the crisis. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had given up on breaking through, the sneer on Zi Qingrong's face became even more intense. Zi Qingrong said proudly, Mo Qingyun, why don't you break through? I'm still waiting for you to break through so that we can have a good fight. Hearing Zi Qingrong's proud words, Mo Qingyun's face darkened and he remained silent. He was not in the mood to talk back to Zi Qingrong for a moment of satisfaction. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was silent, Zi Qingrong stopped talking and chased after Mo Qingyun coldly. Then, Mo Qingyun frantically used the Saint Energy Pegasus to dodge Zi Qingrong's attack. As Mo Qingyun's mind and Saint Energy had been severely depleted, he was hit by Zi Qingrong continuously while he was escaping. After being hit by Zi Qingrong continuously, Mo Qingyun's injuries worsened and it became more and more difficult for him to dodge. Noticing Mo Qingyun's situation, Babilai and the others' expressions turned solemn. They could not help but worry for Mo Qingyun. Qingyun, you don't have to worry about us. Leave with Senior An Chen. Thinking that Mo Qingyun had stayed behind to save them, Babilai tried to persuade him. When your strength increases, you can go and exterminate the dark demon race and avenge us. Upon hearing Babel's words, the members of the Supreme Harmony Demon sect looked resolute. They knew that Emo Qingyun was in such a situation because he did not want to abandon them. Otherwise, with Emo Qingyun's terrifying movement technique, he would definitely be able to escape from Zi Qingrong's pursuit. Senior brother Emo, don't worry about us. Leave by yourself. Junior brother Emo, I will remember your kindness. Let's be brothers in the next life. Qingyun, leave quickly. Don't worry about us. Shen Liang and the others tried to persuade Emo Qingyun. Seeing Shen Liang and the others' reaction, An Chen's face turned solemn and he said, Master, the situation is irreversible. You should move some people to the Fortune mainland. We should leave immediately. Hearing everyone's words, Emo Qingyun's face revealed a happy expression. He looked like he was struggling. He really couldn't abandon everyone and leave alone. Emo Qingyun, you didn't think that you would end up like this, right? Looking at Emo Qingyun's reaction, Zi Qingrong revealed a complacent expression. It was as if he had already won the battle. Emo Qingyun gritted his teeth in anger when he heard Zi Qingrong's words. A strong sense of unwillingness rose in his heart as he said, I won't leave, and I won't leave anyone behind. Even if I die today, I will drag you down with me. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, a ruthless expression appeared on his face. He no longer avoided Zi Qingrong's pursuit. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed as he chased after Zi Qingrong. He slashed his sword at Zi Qingrong. You overestimate yourself. Facing Emo Qingyun's attack, Zi Qingrong smiled disdainfully, showing a strong sense of disdain. He probably felt that Emo Qingyun would not be able to resist at this point, and he did not think that Emo Qingyun was putting up a desperate struggle. Just as Zi Qingrong was thinking about it, a strong sense of uneasiness rose in his heart. What's going on? Why do I have such a feeling? As the abnormal feeling rose in his heart, Zi Qingrong's expression changed. He looked at Emo Qingyun in shock and exclaimed, What's going on? Why did Emo Qingyun's aura suddenly change so drastically? Just as Zi Qingrong was feeling shocked, he realized that the heaven and earth around Emo Qingyun had started to change mysteriously. It was as if the heavens were enraged and were about to exterminate the world. When An Chen saw Emo Qingyun's situation, he was elated. He revealed an excited expression and said, This is the Heaven's Might's secret skill. Master's Heaven's Might Overlord body has awakened. After saying those words, An Chen looked at Emo Qingyun with an expectant expression and looked excitedly at him. At the same time, his expression became more relaxed. He was no longer worried about Emo Qingyun. End of chapter. Chapter 2987. Heaven's Might Illusion. Along with Emo Qingyun's shout, the sky started to change color and a large number of purple thunderclouds gathered. In just a short while, the area within a radius of 1,000,000 miles was covered by purple thundercloud. When the purple thunderclouds gathered, they emitted a terrifying aura that made everyone tremble. What kind of divine ability is this? Under this pressure, I actually have the urge to kneel down and worship it. I didn't expect Senior Brother Emo to have such a trump card. He has hidden it well. In this case, it won't be easy for the great sage expert to kill Senior Brother Emo. Looking at the purple thunderclouds gathering in the sky, the people of the Supreme Harmony Demon sect were less worried. Judging from the power of this superpower, it was enough to make Zi Qingrong fearful. He did not dare to attack Emo Qingyun rashly. This superpower is too powerful. I can't let Emo Qingyun use it successfully. Feeling the pressure from the purple thunderclouds, Zi Qingrong's expression tensed up. He immediately flew toward Emo Qingyun. Zi Qingrong's figure flashed. He appeared in front of Emo Qingyun and decisively pointed his finger at him. Zi Qingrong pointed his finger and a terrifying finger radiance shot out from his finger. Break! In the face of the finger radiance, Emo Qingyun did not retreat. He raised his hand and slapped it forward. As Emo Qingyun raised his hand, a powerful purple thunderbolt was directed toward the finger radiance. Poof! 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 When the purple thunderbolt hit the finger radiance, it emitted a dazzling purple light and a terrifying aura. Soon after, the finger radiance that Zi Qingrong shot out was dispersed by the purple thunderbolt. What a powerful superpower! When Zi Qingrong saw that his all-out attack had been dispersed by the purple thunderbolt, he was so frightened that his face trembled. He said, "Just one bolt of purple thunderbolt has such a terrifying power. How am I going to block it if it's 10, 100, or even 1,000 bolts?" Zi Qingrong knew very well that if the purple thundercloud, which covered a radius of 50 kilometers, struck down together, there would be more than 1,000 bolts of lightning. Mo Qinyun controlled the purple thunderbolt to disperse Zi Qingrong's finger light. He sneered and said, "Zi Qingrong, didn't you want to fight me head-on? Are you satisfied with my current performance?" Hearing Mo Qinyun's words, Zi Qingrong's eyelids twitched, and his expression became gloomy. He had to admit that Mo Qinyun's method of controlling the purple lightning had really frightened him. Seeing that Zi Qingrong was silent, Mo Qinyun's expression turned cold. He said, "You've been complacent for so long. It's my turn to fight back." As soon as Mo Qinyun finished speaking, he made a grabbing motion in the air, causing a wave of thunderclouds to surge. Boom, 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 as the purple thunderclouds churned, dazzling bolts of purple lightning descended from the sky. Shortly after, the few sector lords from the dark demon race were struck by the purple lightning. After being struck by the purple lightning, the few sector lords from the dark demon race cried out in agony. They only let out a few screams before their bodies were annihilated by the purple lightning. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people were stunned. With a casual wave of the hand, the purple lightning killed a few sector lords. It was too terrifying. Senior brother Mo is so strong. He's not just strong. He should be called terrifying. The group from the Supreme Harmony Demon sect exclaimed. Shortly after, a radiant smile appeared on their faces. From the looks of it, the crisis had been resolved. After annihilating the world lords of the Dark Devil race, Mo Qinyun turned to look at Zi Fei, and a cold smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. "Old man, you've been jumping around happily. Now I'd like to see how many more times you can jump around." Hearing Mo Qinyun's words, Zi Fei's old face trembled and turned pale. When Mo Qinyun had attacked just now, he had clearly seen the might of the purple lightning. Although he was an emperor, he wasn't confident at all to take the purple lightning head-on. "Mo Qinyun, you're too arrogant." Seeing Mo Qinyun ignoring him and slaughtering his own people, Zi Qingrong was completely enraged. Shortly after, he moved and attacked Mo Qinyun. Mo Qinyun didn't care about Zi Qingrong's attack and pushed his left palm towards Zi Qingrong. As Mo Qinyun waved his hand, balls of purple thunderclouds surged towards Zi Qingrong and struck down terrifying purple lightning. Hong hong hong. A bolt of purple lightning struck and blocked Zi Qingrong's path, forcing him to dodge continuously. After neutralizing Zi Qingrong's attack, Mo Qinyun sneered and said, "After I take care of that old man, I'll deal with you slowly." After saying that to Zi Qingrong, Mo Qinyun turned his head to look at Zi Fei and began to attack him. Very quickly, bolts of purple lightning blasted towards Zi Fei. Facing the purple lightning, Zi Fei was so frightened that his eyelids twitched and he quickly dodged in a panic. As Zi Fei dodged the lightning, he couldn't guard against Chun, and there was a flaw in his defense. Let's see where you can run to this time. Die. After discovering the flaw in Zi Fei's defense, Chen's face turned cold and he pointed at his glabella. Following that, a terrifying black light gate shot out from his glabella. The black light gate shot out and enveloped Zi Fei, devouring his body crazily. Being devoured by the black energy, Zi Fei was in agony and he screamed in agony. Looking at Zi Fei's appearance, Zi Qingrong was so frightened that his eyelids twitched and he was terrified. At the same time, a strong desire to retreat grew in his heart. Now that he was the only one left, he had no chance of winning against Mo Qingyun and Enchun. With his current injuries, if he were to be slightly careless, he might be left here. Mo Qingyun, I'll remember our debt. Next time, I'll settle it with you. Zi Qingrong knew that he had lost the upper hand and he didn't stay any longer. He moved his body and escaped into the distance. Seeing that Zi Qingrong had escaped, Mo Qingyun took a deep breath and his face turned pale. Following that, Mo Qingyun spat out a mouthful of blood and his eyes slowly closed. Seeing Mo Qingyun's condition, Babilai and the others were shocked and they immediately flew to Mo Qingyun. Soon after, Mo Qingyun was supported by Babilai and the others and he fainted in front of them. Seeing Mo Qingyun's condition, Babilai immediately released his mind to check on his body. After checking, Babeli's expression changed and he was relieved. He said, Qingyun's injuries aren't serious. He just overused his saint power and mind. He'll be fine after resting for a while. After knowing Mo Qingyun's condition, the Supreme Harmony Demon Sex people were relieved. Since Mo Qingyun was fine, they could rest assured. Chapter 2988. While Babilai and the others were talking, Enchun had killed Zi Fei and arrived in front of them. Enchun arrived in front of them and observed Mo Qingyun's condition. He nodded to them and said, "Enter the lightning shuttle airship. I'll take you to the true Primordial Demon Palace." Understood. Hearing Enchun's instructions, the Extreme Harmony Demon Sex group immediately entered the lightning shuttle airship. After everyone had boarded the Thunder Shuttle flying ship, Enchun controlled the Thunder Shuttle flying ship and set off without a word. Seeing that Enchun was controlling the Lightning Shuttle airship, Babilai and the others walked toward Mo Qingyun, ready to help Mo Qingyun recover. When they arrived in front of Mo Qingyun, a shocking scene unfolded before their eyes. The injuries on Mo Qingyun's body were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Seeing such a situation, they were all stunned and found it hard to believe. Mo Qingyun's recovery was too terrifying. I didn't expect Qingyun's body to be so strong. I'm afraid that even Emperor Realm experts are far inferior to such a powerful physique. Isn't that obvious? Didn't you see that the great saint from before didn't even dare to clash with Qingyun? Everyone gasped in surprise. Seeing that Mo Qingyun's injuries were recovering on their own, Babilai and the others stopped interfering. Then, they sat down cross-legged and adjusted their breathing to recover the energy they'd expended in the previous battle. Although they weren't qualified to interfere in the battle with Zi Qingrong, they'd expended a lot of energy in the battle with the Dark Demon earlier. Some of the disciples still had serious injuries and needed to recuperate. Several hours later, Mo Qingyun, who'd been unconscious, slowly woke up. He opened his eyes and scanned the surroundings. Seeing that Babilai and the others were fine, Mo Qingyun's expression relaxed. The worry in his heart was completely gone. It seemed that Zi Qingrong had been scared away by him, and the others were not in danger. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had woken up, Babilai and the others hurriedly gathered around him with a concerned expression. "Qingyun, how do you feel? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" "I'm fine." Hearing Babeli's words of concern, Mo Qingyun shook his head with a faint smile, giving everyone a reassuring smile. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, Babilai and the others felt relieved. They were worried about Mo Qingyun, so they retreated. Babilai and the others retreated to the side to heal their wounds. Mo Qingyun stood up and walked towards Dark Dawn. He said, "How long have you been unconscious? When can we reach the true beginning Devil Hall?" Enchun replied, "You were only unconscious for a few hours. It will take about half a day before we can return to the true absolute beginning Devil Palace." After learning of his current whereabouts, Mo Qingyun nodded in understanding and said, "Tell me more about the Heaven's Might's secret technique." "Yes." Hearing Mo Qingyun's orders, Enchun dared not hesitate at all. he said, "the strength of the heavens might's secret technique is just like its name. After it's activated, it's like the wrath of the heavens. Master, although you activated the heavens might's secret technique last time, it's not the true heavens might's secret technique. You can only copy its form. In my opinion, if you can use half of the heavens might's secret technique's power, you can easily slaughter emperors." And Chen's explanation immediately shocked Emo Qingyun. He found it rather hard to believe. Since he had used the heavens might's secret technique once, Emo Qingyun knew very well how powerful it was. What he had never thought was that the heavens might's secret technique at full power would be so powerful. Just as Emo Qingyun was shocked, he began to have some concerns. He said, "The heavens might's secret technique is powerful, but it consumes a lot of saint force when it's used. With my current cultivation, even half of the heavens might's secret technique's power will be drained instantly, and I'll die from the backlash, let alone using it at full power." Indeed. Anchern nodded and agreed with Emo Qingyun's concerns. He said, "There are two sides to everything. It's because the heavens might's secret technique is powerful that it consumes a lot of saint force when it's used. And one more thing. Since you've awakened the heavens might's secret technique, it means that your physique might be the purple thunder crystal dragon physique." And Chen's analysis made Emo Qingyun's eyes light up, and a look of anticipation appeared on his face. Although he still could not be sure whether his current physique was the purple thunder crystal dragon physique or not. However, one thing was certain. Since he had awakened the heavens might's secret technique, it meant that his current physique was the heavens might tyrant physique. "My injuries haven't healed yet, so I need to cultivate for a while. Summon me when we arrive at the true absolute beginning Devil Hall." After conversing with Anchern for a while to clear his doubts, Emo Qingyun's figure disappeared in a flicker, entering the Fortune mainland. Arriving at the Fortune mainland, Emo Qingyun sat down cross-legged and started cultivating to recover from his injuries. Under Emo Qingyun's cultivation, waves of astonishing power of creation converged towards him. Darkness devouring Heaven Gate. Sensing the gathering of Fortune energy, Emo Qingyun used his innate ability to absorb them into his body. Under Emo Qingyun's refinement, the aura he exuded gradually stabilized. Not only that, Emo Qingyun's aura also rose little by little. Who would have thought that the battle with Zi Qingrong this time would strengthen my foundation? Looking at his current situation, Emo Qingyun's lips curved into a faint smile. This was an unexpected gain. Emo Qingyun smiled and muttered to himself. He had a plan. After I recover from my injuries and complete the Old Hall Master's burial, I'll hunt some Grandmiss spirits and prepare to break through to the mid-level World Lord realm. After making up his mind, Emo Qingyun threw away the distracting thoughts in his mind and wholeheartedly immersed himself in cultivation. In the following days, Emo Qingyun's injuries rapidly healed as he cultivated. Time passed by quickly. Before Emo Qingyun knew it, a day had passed. After a day of cultivation, his injuries were basically healed. At this time, Chen's voice transmission appeared in his mind. Hearing Chen's voice transmission, Emo Qingyun's figure disappeared in a flicker and he left the Fortune mainland. After leaving the Fortune mainland, Emo Qingyun saw that Lei Muwen and the others had already arrived at the entrance to receive him. "Martial Ancestor, I'll have to trouble you to settle the disciples of the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate." Walking to Polar Snow, Emo Qingyun instructed him to hand over the disciples of the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate to him. After hearing Emo Qingyun's instructions, Polar Snow nodded solemnly and called Ba Bailai and the others to leave. After Polar Snow and the others left, Emo Qingyun noticed that Lei Muwen's expression had become a little solemn. Seeing Lei Muwen's expression, Emo Qingyun frowned and vaguely felt that something was wrong. He asked, "What's wrong? Did something happen in the true absolute beginning Devil Hall?" Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Lei Muwen shook her head and said, "The people of the Devil Resistance Alliance are here. Emo Qingyun's expression changed and shock flashed through his eyes. Chapter 2989. When he and Lei Muan returned from the Purple Heaven Holy Land, he heard from Lei Gi that the Anti-Demon Alliance had sent an invitation. However, he did not expect that the Anti-Demon Alliance would send people over in just a few days. Could it be that the Dark Demon race is too strong, and the Anti-Demon Alliance is unable to contend with them, so they urgently need reinforcements? Thinking of the strength of Zi Qingrong and the others, Emo Qingyun guessed that the Anti-Demon Alliance had sent people over because they did not have enough troops and urgently needed more people. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Lei Muan shook her head and said, "The Dark Demon race is indeed very strong, but the Anti-Demon Alliance is not powerless to contend with them." Listening to the tone of the three envoys, the Anti-Demon Alliance invited us to join because they want us to be cannon fodder. So that's the case. Emo Qingyun's expression was slightly cold, and there was a surge of anger in his heart. If what Lei Muan said was true, then the Anti-Demon Alliance's actions were a little too much. Everyone joined forces to contend against the Dark Demon race, and their status should be equal. Just like what Lei Muan said, the forces in the Anti-Demon Alliance were clearly divided into different levels. Some of the weaker forces, after joining the Anti-Demon Alliance, would not only not receive protection, but would also be reduced to cannon fodder and weeds. Such a situation did not make sense. Rather than this, it was better not to join. After briefly explaining the situation of the Anti-Demon Alliance to Emo Qingyun, Lei Muan turned and walked forward, saying, "They are waiting for my reply. Come with me." "Okay." Emo Qingyun nodded and followed. Following behind Lei Muan, Emo Qingyun soon arrived at the Thunder Hall and saw the envoys of the Anti-Demon Alliance. There were a total of 3 envoys from the Anti-Demon Alliance. The 3 of them were not weak, and were all quasi-emperors. Seeing the arrival of Emo Qingyun's group, the 3 of them had a lazy posture, crossing their legs and leaning back on their chairs, showing no intention of standing up to greet them. Moreover, the gazes they shot at Emo Qingyun and the young man were filled with disdain. It was obvious that they were looking at them with disdain. Looking at their behavior, Emo Qingyun frowned and was a little displeased with them. After glancing at Emo Qingyun and Luo Yunyang, one of the 3 envoys said impatiently, "Lei Muan, have you made up your mind?" When he heard this person's tone, the anger in Emo Qingyun's heart intensified. At the same time, he had no interest in joining the Anti-Demon Alliance. In Emo Qingyun's opinion, 3 mere quasi-emperors dared to treat Lei Muan this way. Moreover, this was the true Demon Palace. If they were in the territory of the Anti-Demon Alliance, wouldn't they be too arrogant? One could only imagine how those with higher cultivation in the Alliance would react once they joined the Anti-Demon Alliance. Sensing Emo Qingyun's anger, Lei Muan shook her head, indicating to Emo Qingyun not to be angry. Seeing Lei Muan's signal, Emo Qingyun clenched his fists and suppressed the anger in his heart. Although he was unhappy with the 3 of them, he would still tolerate it for Lei Muan's sake. Seeing that Emo Qingyun had suppressed his anger, Lei Muan turned to look at the 3 of them and said in a negotiating tone, "3 emissaries, I still need to think about it. How about I give you an answer after I bury my father?" Hearing Lei Muan's reply, the 3 of them immediately looked unhappy. One of them snorted coldly and said, "Lei Muan, our time is very limited. We don't have the time to waste with you here. You must give us an answer immediately." Seeing this person's attitude, Lei Muan's pretty face turned ugly. It was obvious that she was angry. Before Lei Muan could speak, another emissary sneered and said, "If you don't give us an answer, we'll go back and report that the true Demon Palace has sided with the Dark Demon race. We hope that you'll consider it carefully." Seeing their attitude, Emo Qingyun was completely enraged. He said coldly with an unhappy expression, "The 3 of you, aren't you going a little too far by forcing us to join the Anti-Demon Alliance?" Emo Qingyun's sudden words stunned the 3 of them. They couldn't help but glance at Emo Chingyun. When they sensed that Emo Chingyun was only at the initial stage of the Sector Lord realm, their gazes towards Emo Chingyun were filled with intense disdain. One of them snorted coldly, "Who are you?" "We're talking to Lei Muan. Since when did you have the right to interrupt us?" Lei Muan was unhappy when she saw this person berating Emo Chingyun. She said coldly, "He's my husband. Do you think he has the right to speak?" The moment they heard Lei Muan's words, the three emissaries were shocked. Their eyes were filled with shock. They didn't expect that Emo Chingyun would be able to capture Lei Muan's heart with his initial stage Sector Lord realm cultivation. One had to admit that Emo Chingyun did have some tricks up his sleeve. Under their shocked gazes, Emo Chingyun revealed a cold expression and said, "The three of you, I'll give you a clear answer now. The true Demon Palace won't join the Anti-Demon Alliance. The three of you, please leave." As soon as Emo Chingyun said that, he raised his right hand and gestured for them to enter. The three of them were furious when they saw Emo Chingyun's actions. They looked at Lei Muan unhappily and said, "Lei Muan, is this what you want? Let me remind you. If you refuse to join the Anti-Demon Alliance, don't regret it in the future. Please." Lei Muan didn't care about this person's warning at all. She asked them to leave with a cold expression. Emo Chingyun had already started to ask them to leave. She naturally couldn't do the opposite. The three of them didn't stay any longer and left with gloomy expressions when they saw Lei Muan's actions. Lei Muan's face tightened when she saw the three of them leave. She said, "The three of them are narrow-minded. We've angered them this time. I'm afraid they won't let this matter rest." Emo Chingyun revealed a faint smile when he saw the worried Lei Muan. He acted like he didn't care and said, "Don't worry too much. I can imagine the foul atmosphere in the Anti-Demon Alliance just by looking at their ugly faces. Those fellows are all scheming against each other. They won't ask for trouble to deal with us." And Lei Muan's expression turned better after she heard Emo Chingyun's analysis. The worry in her heart lessened a little. Emo Chingyun showed a concerned expression after the matter of the Anti-Demon Alliance was settled. He said, "How are the preparations for the burial of the old Hall Master?" "Everything is ready. We're just waiting for you to come back," Lei Muan replied calmly. She didn't want to waste any more time. She got up and walked out of the main hall. She said, "Since you're back, let's go find Ancestor Lei Gi and confirm the time of the burial." "Let's go." Emo Chingyun nodded and walked out of the main hall. The two of them left the main hall and went to Lei Gi's residence to prepare for the burial of the old hall master. End of chapter. Chapter 2990. Chingyun, you're back. Did everything go well? Lei Gi and the others immediately stood up when they saw Emo Chingyun and Mu Wanwan. They welcomed them with concern. Emo Chingyun nodded when he heard Lei Gi's question. Everything went well. Although there were some unforeseen events, they have all been resolved. That's good. Lei Gi nodded with gratification. Mu Xiao's expression tensed up when he heard Emo Chingyun and the others' conversation. He asked, "Hall Master, what about the Anti-Demon Alliance? Will we join or refuse?" "I think that joining the Anti-Demon Alliance might give us some protection, but everything we do in the future will be greatly restricted. The disadvantages might outweigh the benefit. We don't have to bother about the Anti-Demon Alliance. Mu Wan and I have already refused." Emo Chingyun gave them an answer with a serious expression. He expressed his attitude and said, "Ancestors, how are the preparations for the old Hall Master's burial?" "Everything is ready. We can start at any time," Lei Gi replied. He looked at Lei Muan and asked, "Hall Master, since Mr. Emo is back, should we start the burial now?" "Let's start now." Lei Muan felt guilty when she thought about how the old Hall Master's body had been lost for so many years. She wasn't willing to wait any longer. Lei Gi and Mu Wanwan walked out of the courtyard when they heard Lei Muan's order. They started to arrange for the burial of the old Hall Master. Let's go. Emo Qingyun quickly followed when he saw Lei Yi and Mu Wanwan leave. Before long, the group arrived at the true Primordium Devil Hall's ancestral hall and held the Hall Master's burial ceremony. Under the guidance of Lei Yi and Mu Wanwan, Emo Qingyun and Mu Wanwan completed the ceremony and successfully buried the old Hall Master's body. After burying the old Hall Master's body, Emo Qingyun and the others left the ancestral shrine. He said to Lei Muan, "I'm preparing to go into seclusion for a period of time to break through to the intermediate sector Lord Realm. I'll let Chern stay in the sect during this period. If you encounter any trouble, you can ask him for help." "Yes." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Lei Muan nodded. After that, Emo Qingyun gave Chern some instructions before he returned to his residence. Back at his residence, Emo Qingyun did not delay, directly entering the Fortune mainland. "Let's hunt the spirits of primordial chaos first." With a flash, Emo Qingyun arrived at the edge of the primordial fog sea and jumped into it. After entering the primordial fog sea, Emo Qingyun continued to swim forward. Very quickly, he swam close to 10,000 meters. I never expected that I would actually be able to swim so far after entering the primordial fog sea this time. Looking at the distance he had swum, Emo Qingyun was surprised by his own progress. He faintly remembered that he was only able to dive a few thousand meters into the primordial mist ocean the last time. Emo Qingyun muttered to himself. He swam around, searching for Grand Mist spirits to kill. Not long after, an Emperor Realm Grand Mist spirit entered his perception. Holy Force transforming into a Pegasus. After discovering an Emperor Realm Grand Mist spirit, Emo Qingyun did not dare to be careless. He immediately condensed a Holy Force Pegasus. After the Holy Force Pegasus was condensed, Emo Qingyun rode on it and chased after the Emperor Realm Grand Mist spirit. Emo Qingyun's figure flickered a few times, and he caught up to the Emperor Realm Grand Mist spirit in the blink of an eye. He stabbed his sword at it. Ignore defense. Double space imprisonment. Double time reversal. With each stab, Emo Qingyun released several kinds of laws to increase the sword light's power. Under the suppression of several kinds of laws, the Emperor Realm Grand Mist spirit's body clearly paused for a moment. In the split second the Emperor Realm Grand Mist spirit paused, the sword light pierced through its head and killed it. After killing the Emperor Realm Grand Mist spirit, Emo Qingyun's footsteps did not stop as he went to find a new target. After a few hours, Emo Qingyun stopped hunting and exited the Grand Mist Sea. 5 Emperor Realm Grand Mist spirits should be enough for me to make a breakthrough. Emo Qingyun muttered to himself as he gazed at the 5 spirits of primordial chaos before him, and then he started refining them. Emo Qingyun's hands moved rapidly, forming a black light gate that emitted a terrifying devouring power. Under the devouring power, the Grand Mist energy within the Grand Mist spirits' bodies was immediately extracted, following which pure Grand Mist energy was channeled into Emo Qingyun's body. Sensing the Grand Mist energy entering his body, Emo Qingyun immediately refined it and raised his cultivation. Time passed by slowly. My saint energy has been condensed to the limit. Sensing the situation in his body, Emo Qingyun stopped refining the Grand Mist energy and began to break through the barrier. With a thought, Emo Qingyun circulated the saint energy in his body and attempted to break through to the intermediate sector Lord Realm. Under the full force charge, the barrier was instantly broken through and Emo Qingyun's cultivation broke through. Refine. After successfully breaking through, Emo Qingyun did not stop and continued to refine the Grand Mist energy to stabilize his cultivation. While Emo Qingyun was cultivating in seclusion, a group of people from the true Absolute Beginning Devil Palace arrived and stood in midair with an unfriendly attitude. Lei Muan, come out and meet us. An old man exuding the aura of a martial emperor shouted coldly as the crowd hovered in the air. As the old man spoke, He also activated his Emperor Realm aura and enveloped the entire true Absolute Beginning Devil Palace. Under the old man's aura, the disciples of the true Absolute Beginning Devil Palace turned pale with fright. Not only the disciples, but Lei Gyi and the others were also shrouded by the Emperor Realm aura and their expressions were tense. Then, they went to find Lei Muan and waited for Lei Muan's instructions. When they came to Lei Muan flew into midair without a word. Lei Muan's expression turned ugly when she glanced at the group of people. At this moment, the few people in the sky above the true Absolute Beginning Devil Hall, other than this Emperor Realm expert, the other three were the envoys from before. May I know why the four of you are looking for me? After glancing at the four of them, Lei Muan questioned them with a cold expression on her face. Hearing Lei Muan's question, the three envoys from last time smiled coldly and said, "Why are you asking when you already know the answer? When we left last time, we clearly reminded you not to regret your actions. It seems like it was my mistake to let the three of you leave last time?" Understanding their intentions, Lei Muan's face darkened and she exuded a cold aura. Sensing Lei Muan's aura, the few of them trembled and their eyes were filled with shock. Emperor Realm. They didn't expect Lei Muan's cultivation to have reached the Emperor Realm. In this way, it wouldn't be easy for them to deal with Lei Muan. Knowing Lei Muan's cultivation, the Emperor Realm expert of the Anti-Demon Alliance's attitude became friendlier. He said, "Hall Master Lei, about joining the Anti-Demon Alliance, we need you to reconsider." Seeing the change in attitude, Lei Muan's expression became gentler and she looked like she was thinking. End of chapter. Chapter 2991. I'm sorry, but I refuse to join the Anti-Demon Alliance. Please go back. Lei Muan thought for a while and made a decision. She still did not want to join the Anti-Demon Alliance. Although she had revealed her great Emperor Realm cultivation, the other party's attitude had turned for the better, and they did not dare to be like before. However, the actions of these people had left an extremely bad impression on her against the Demon Alliance. Moreover, the change in attitude of the person in front of her was because his cultivation was on par with hers. If it were another great sage, he would also be disdainful of her and would order her around. Rather than parting on bad terms, she might as well refuse to join now. Seeing Lei Muan's reply, the four people's expressions turned ugly, and they were extremely unhappy. This was especially true for the Emperor Realm expert. He looked at Lei Muan with a cold glint in his eyes. In his opinion, he had already taken a step back, but Lei Muan still knew what was good for her. However, this great Emperor Realm expert was able to keep his composure and did not show it immediately. "Since Hall Master Lei is unwilling to join, we will not force you," the great Emperor Realm expert said politely to Lei Muan. He then nodded to the other three people and said, "This matter is settled. We will rush back to the Alliance now." "Yes." The three people immediately nodded in response. After talking to the three people, the great Emperor Realm expert thought for a while and said to Lei Muan, "Hall Master Lei, if you change your mind, you can come to the Anti-Demon Alliance at any time." After the great Emperor Realm expert finished speaking, he did not wait for Lei Muan's reply and turned to leave. Seeing the great Emperor Realm expert leave, the other three people looked unhappy, but they also left with their tails between their legs. "Hall Master, what if they go back and find someone to take revenge?" Looking at the four people leaving, Lei Gyi's expression was tense as he said this worriedly. Hearing Lei Gyi's words, Mu Xiaohe's expression was tense as well. He said, "The Anti-Demon Alliance is very powerful. If they take revenge, it will be very troublesome. We have to be careful." At the thought of the Anti-Demon Alliance's revenge, the expressions of Polar Snow and the others turned grave. With the strength of the true Primordium Devil Hall, it was already very difficult to guard against the Dark Devil race's attack. If the Anti-Demon Alliance came for revenge, it would be one disaster after another. Don't worry, everyone. Although the anti-demon alliance is powerful, they are not unreasonable. Looking at the nervous crowd, Lei Yuan smiled faintly and said some words of comfort. Besides, the anti-demon alliance is just an alliance, it's not made of iron. They may not be united. After hearing Lei Yuan's words, the expressions of Polar Snow and the others gradually relaxed. Following that, everyone exchanged a few more words before they all left. On the Fortune mainland. Since my cultivation base has stabilized, it's time for me to leave. After stabilizing his cultivation, Mo Qingyun did not continue cultivating. His figure flashed and left. Coming out from the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun went to Enchen's side and asked, Enchen, while I was cultivating, did anything happen in the sect? Replying to Master, not long ago, the anti-demon alliance came again. They want to force the true Primordial Devil Hall to join. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Enchen did not hide anything and immediately reported the situation. He said, however, Hall Master Lei revealed his cultivation base and intimidated those people. They retreated from the true Primordial Devil Hall on their own accord. Those guys from the Anti-Demon Alliance are really unwilling to give up. After learning about the situation from Enchen, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly and said, It seems like I have to find time to pay a visit to the Anti-Demon Alliance and see what they want. Also, I have to think of a way to increase the overall strength of the true Primordial Devil Hall. Mo Qingyun muttered to himself. In his mind, he began to think of ways to help Polar Snow and the others increase their strength. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Enchen pondered for a moment and said, Based on my observations over this period of time, I've discovered that many of the Grand Elders and ancestors of the true beginning Demon Hall have reached the Quasi-Emperor level. If I can find the Emperor Blood Essence Jade, I am confident that I can help them break through in an extremely short period of time. Emperor Blood Essence Jade? Mo Qingyun was stunned for a moment. He revealed a curious expression and asked, What is the Emperor Blood Essence Jade you mentioned? What are its characteristics? Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Enchen began to recall the characteristics of the Emperor Blood Essence Jade. After pondering for a while, Enchen said to Mo Qingyun, The Emperor Blood Essence Jade is not much different from ordinary blood crystals. However, it is formed from the blood essence of a martial emperor expert and contains the martial emperor expert's comprehension of the Great Tao. The elders and elders of the true Primordial Devil Hall are only lacking an opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm and comprehend some Great Tao concepts. If they can successfully comprehend the Great Tao concepts, their cultivation will be able to take another step forward and enter the martial emperor realm. After listening to Enchen's explanation, Mo Qingyun revealed a look of understanding and began to think of a way to obtain the Emperor Blood Essence Jade. Mo Qingyun pondered for a while, but in the end, he shook his head. He didn't have a clue. After pondering for a while, Mo Qingyun gave up and decided to ask Lei Yuan. With Yuan's experience, she might know about the Emperor Blood Essence Jade. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and rushed towards the Thunder Hall. Soon, Mo Qingyun arrived at the Thunder Hall and found Lei Yuan, who was making arrangements. Qingyun, you've come out of seclusion. Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, Lei Yuan was delighted and immediately went to welcome Mo Qingyun. In response to Lei Yuan's greeting, Mo Qingyun nodded indifferently and asked, Yuan, do you know where the Emperor Blood Essence Jade can be found? Emperor Blood Essence Jade? Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Lei Yuan was first stunned and then revealed a look of intense shock. Seeing Lei Yuan's reaction, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He guessed that she should know about the Emperor Blood Essence Jade. Shortly after, Mo Qingyun urged Lei Yuan with an anxious look, I need the Emperor Blood Essence Jade. If you know where it is, immediately tell me where it is. I once saw a rumor about the Emperor Blood Essence Jade in a book. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, Lei Yuan did not dare to delay and hurriedly said, It is said that in the Genesis blood-soul star field, there was once a sect that could extract the blood essence of Emperor Realm experts and refine it into something called the Emperor Blood Essence Jade. I wonder if it is what you are looking for? However, because the sect's actions were too vicious, it was destroyed not long after. Hearing Lei Muan's answer, Emo Qingyun's face immediately lit up with a look of anticipation. He guessed right, Lei Muan indeed knew about it. Chapter 2992. After listening to Lei Muan's story, Emo Qingyun was both excited and worried. The sect had been destroyed, so it would be extremely difficult to find the Emperor Blood Essence Jade from it. Even if the hope is slim, it's not a bad idea to try. Emo Qingyun took a deep breath and calmed his negative emotions. He asked Lei Muan, "Where are the ruins of the sect? Can you go to the map there?" "Wait a minute, I'll look for it." Hearing Emo Qingyun's request, Lei Muan walked to a secret cabinet with a calm expression. Lei Muan raised her jade-like hand, and an ancient map flew into her hand. Immediately, Lei Muan came to Emo Qingyun with the map and said, "This is the map of the Taisher Blood Soul Starfield. Because the Taisher Blood Soul Palace was destroyed, the Taisher Blood Soul Starfield disintegrated and became a 2-star region." This is, looking at the map in his hand, Emo Qingyun's expression was one of shock, and his eyes widened. He did not expect that the Taisher Blood Soul Starfield that Lei Muan mentioned was the Blood Soul Galaxy that opposed the Wood Source Galaxy. This discovery shocked Emo Qingyun. "What's wrong? Is there something wrong with the map?" Seeing Emo Qingyun's excitement, Lei Muan asked Emo Qingyun with a concerned expression. Hearing Lei Muan's question, Emo Qingyun shook his head and said, "Nothing, I just feel that the location of the Taisher Blood Soul Palace is familiar." Lei Muan was curious. Under Lei Muan's curious gaze, Emo Qingyun didn't hide anything. He told her honestly, "I've been to a 2-star system before. The geography of that place is just like what's on this map. It's also called the Warring Blood Soul Star System. Perhaps it's related to the Taisher Blood Soul Star System." "Is that so?" After listening to Emo Qingyun's story, Lei Muan's pretty face was immediately filled with shock. She did not expect Emo Qingyun to have such an experience. However, while Lei Muan was surprised, she was more worried. If what Emo Qingyun said was true, then wouldn't the Taisher Blood Soul Star Field be in the territory of a 2-star force? Now, the 1-star to 4-star regions were all occupied by the Dark Demon race. Emo Qingyun going to the 2-star region meant going deep into the Dark Demon race's territory. This was undoubtedly extremely dangerous. "Qingyun, it's too dangerous for you to go to the Blood Soul Galaxy. I think you should forget about it." Thinking that Emo Qingyun might encounter great danger if he went to the Blood Soul Galaxy, Lei Muan immediately tried to persuade him. Hearing Lei Muan's persuasion, Emo Qingyun shook his head and said, "This is a serious matter. I have to go and check it out. I won't be in danger." "I'll go with you." Lei Muan was a little concerned, and her eyes were filled with anticipation. Emo Qingyun shook his head and smiled gently at Lei Muan. "The situation is turbulent now, and the Taisher True Demon Hall needs you to guard it. You can't go with me." But, hearing Emo Qingyun's answer, Lei Muan's face immediately tensed up. However, before Lei Muan could say anything, Emo Qingyun interrupted her. He said, "Don't worry, I'll be fine with Enchun with me. Plus, I'm only going to look for ruins, not the base of the Dark Demon race." Lei Muan's expression eased up slightly with Emo Qingyun's words. Her worry lessened as well. In her opinion, it was not difficult for Emo Qingyun and Enchun to protect themselves as long as they did not clash with the Dark Demon race head-on with their strength. Unless Emo Qingyun and Enchun were extremely unlucky and just happened to run into a Saint Emperor of the Dark Demon race. Emo Qingyun relaxed slightly when he saw that Lei Muan no longer wanted to go with him. He smiled gently at her and said, Although the Dark Demon race is rampant right now, you can't ignore the Demon Resistance Alliance. If they insist on forcing you to join, you should listen to them while I'm in the sect. Don't clash with them head-on. Yes, I understand. Lei Muan immediately nodded with Emo Qingyun's words in mind. Afterwards, Emo Qingyun gave Lei Muan some more instructions. He did not plan on wasting any more time. He said, "It's about time. I should set off too." With that, Emo Qingyun flew out of the true Primordium Demon Hall. He left under Lei Muan's gaze. Emo Qingyun took out the lightning shuttle after leaving the true Primordium Demon Hall. He set off for the Blood Soul Galaxy within Chen. It doesn't matter if the Blood Soul Galaxy is in the Blood Soul Galaxy or not. I won't go for nothing. Emo Qingyun thought about it on the way to the Blood Soul Galaxy. He felt a sense of anticipation. He said, "The 1st to 4th star regions have all been conquered by the Dark Demon race. The Wood Origin Galaxy definitely won't be spared. I hope nothing happens to Z." Emo Qingyun muttered to himself. He drove the lightning shuttle with all his might and rushed towards the Wood Origin Galaxy. In order to save time on the road, Emo Qingyun even condensed a Saint Power Pegasus as a substitute. Only when his Saint Power was insufficient would Emo Qingyun use the lightning shuttle as a substitute and let Chern control the flying shuttle. When his Saint Power recovered, he would form the Saint Power Pegasus again and rush towards the Blood Soul Galaxy at full speed. Just like that, Emo Qingyun tirelessly used 10 days to finally arrive at the Blood Soul Galaxy. When he arrived at the Blood Soul Galaxy, Emo Qingyun took out the map and compared it with the terrain before him. This is the Valley of 10,000 Blood, just like the map. This is the Black Blood Cliff, the territory of the Black Blood Bear tribe. This is the Blood Duck Palace, a 1-star force with a long history. After comparing the forces before him with the map, Emo Qingyun had an answer in his heart. He guessed correctly. The Taisher Blood Soul Galaxy that Lei Muan mentioned was the Blood Soul Galaxy that he knew. Since I've found the Taisher Blood Soul Galaxy, I'm not in a hurry to find the Emperor Blood Essence Jades. After confirming the location of the Taisher Blood Soul Galaxy, Emo Qingyun was no longer worried. He decided to check on Wang Zishu's situation first. He said, "Judging from the current situation, the Blood Soul Galaxy is completely under the control of the Dark Demon tribe. The Wood Origin Galaxy is probably the same. I hope nothing happens to Zishu." Emo Qingyun looked forward to it. He then controlled the lightning shuttle and rushed towards the Wood Origin Galaxy. With the lightning shuttle's rapid speed, Emo Qingyun quickly arrived at the Divine Wood continent and rushed towards the Divine Wood Imperial capital. The Thunder shuttle flashed as it entered the void and came to the sky above the Divine Wood continent. When he arrived above the Divine Wood Imperial capital, Emo Qingyun's expression immediately became solemn. The worry in his heart was intense to the extreme. The Divine Wood Imperial capital was gone. It had become a messy land of ruins. End of chapter. Chapter 2993. The Divine Wood Royal Capital has indeed been destroyed. I wonder if Zishu managed to escape? Emo Qingyun wasn't surprised when he saw the ruins of the Divine Wood Royal Capital. He had already guessed this outcome. The reason why he rushed over was because he was hoping for a fluke. Now that he saw the destruction of the Divine Wood Royal Capital, the last bit of hope in his heart was completely extinguished. I wonder how the Heavenly Bull Divine Sect is doing? Emo Qingyun didn't stay any longer when he saw the destruction of the Divine Wood Royal Capital. He controlled the Thunder Shuttle flying ship and headed towards the Heavenly Bull Divine Sect. He thought to himself, if the Heavenly Bull Divine Sect is still here, they should know where Zishu went. With this thought in mind, Emo Qingyun accelerated the Thunder Shuttle flying ship and rushed towards the Heavenly Bull Divine Sect. With the Thunder Shuttle flying ship flying at full speed, Emo Qingyun only used 2 hours to arrive in the sky above the Heavenly Bull Divine Mountain. Emo Qingyun stood in the air and glanced down. He revealed a surprised smile and said, I didn't expect the Heavenly Bull Divine sect to still be intact. If that's the case, it won't be difficult to find Zishu. Emo Qingyun muttered to himself. He put away the Thunder Shuttle flying ship and flew into the Heavenly Bull Divine sect in a flash. After entering the Heavenly Bull Divine sect, Emo Qingyun saw some new faces. They seemed to have just joined the Heavenly Bull Divine sect. Who are you? Seeing Emo Qingyun's arrival, some of the disciples in charge of guarding the mountain gate immediately surrounded him. Before they could get close to Emo Qingyun, they were enveloped by a force and couldn't take half a step forward. These disciples were quite shocked when they saw this situation. Their mouths were wide open and they couldn't make a sound. After repelling those disciples, Emo Qingyun didn't stop and soon arrived at the Heavenly Bull Divine Sect's conference hall. After entering the conference hall, Emo Qingyun saw a few familiar faces and walked towards them with a faint smile. Say, Qingyun. After recognizing Emo Qingyun, Huang Gang and the others in the hall widened their eyes in shock. They did not expect Emo Qingyun to suddenly return. While everyone was still in shock, they thought of Wang Zishu's situation and revealed a look of understanding. Greetings, sect master and elders. Looking at the shocked faces of Huang Gang and the others, Emo Qingyun revealed a humble expression and cupped his hands towards them. In response to Emo Qingyun's salute, Huang Gang and the others quickly raised their hands and returned the salute to Emo Qingyun. The moment Emo Qingyun entered the main hall, they could clearly feel that Emo Qingyun was no longer the same as before. Qingyun, since you have returned, you must have gone to the Divine Wood Imperial capital. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Emo Qingyun, Huang Gang did not beat around the bush and directly told him about the current situation. The Dark Demon race suddenly launched a large-scale attack, and there were even sector lords among them. Our strength was limited and we were unable to protect Miss Zishu. We are very sorry about this. Looking at the guilty faces of Huang Gang and the others, Emo Qingyun's expression changed slightly and revealed a tinge of nervousness. He said, The Dark Demon race is too strong. It's not your fault. How is Zishu now? When Emo Qingyun asked this question, his expression was clearly tense and his fists were tightly clenched. If Wang Zishu was only captured, he could still think of a way to rescue her from the Dark Demon race. But if Wang Zishu was already dead, then there was really no way. Looking at the nervous Emo Qingyun, Tai Balong's expression was solemn. He said, Although Miss Zishu was captured, her life is not in danger and she is imprisoned in the Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace. However, there are 2 sector lords in the Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace. It will be harder than ascending the heavens to rescue her. After hearing Tai Balong's words, Emo Qingyun's expression relaxed and his hanging heart was finally at ease. In his opinion, since Wang Zishu was still alive, then everything would be easy. Elder Tai Balong, where is the Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace? Can you lead the way? After knowing Wang Zishu's situation, Emo Qingyun did not want to waste any time and was prepared to rescue her immediately. With regards to Emo Qingyun's request, Tai Balong and the others exchanged glances and hesitated whether they should tell Emo Qingyun or not. From the looks of it, they seemed to be worried that Emo Qingyun would rush over to rescue Zishu after knowing the location of the Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace. Seeing Huang Gang and the others' reaction, Emo Qingyun guessed their thoughts. He said, You don't have to worry. It's not difficult for me to deal with a few sector lords. Emo Qingyun's words frightened Huang Gang and the others. In their eyes, universe-grade cultivators were already undefeatable existences. However, Emo Qingyun was actually saying that it was not difficult for him to deal with sector lords. These words were simply too frightening. Qingyun, what level has your cultivation reached now? Hearing Emo Qingyun's surprised words, Huang Gang revealed a curious expression and immediately asked. Emo Qingyun did not hide anything from Huang Gang's question. He answered truthfully, Not long ago, I broke through to the Intermediate Sector Lord Realm. Intermediate Sector Lord Realm. Huang Gang and the others' pupils shrank and their eyes widened. They thought they had heard wrongly. Shortly after, when they calmed down, they all took a deep breath. They knew that Emo Qingyun's cultivation speed was fast. However, even though they were mentally prepared, they were still shocked when it was so fast. Since that is the case, there is nothing to worry about. After learning of Emo Qingyun's cultivation, the worry on the faces of Huang Gang and the others immediately vanished. He said, "Coincidentally, we also need to make a trip to the Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace to hand in this season's offerings. Come with us." Offerings? After hearing about Huang Gang and the others, Emo Qingyun was puzzled as he glanced at them. Huang Gang and the others smiled bitterly when they sensed Emo Qingyun's puzzled gaze. This so-called offering is the essence blood of the various races that we have collected for the Dark Devil race to fuse with their bloodline. Emo Qingyun's expression turned solemn after hearing Huang Gang's words. He felt a little overwhelmed. Huang Gang and the others sighed when they saw Emo Qingyun's reaction. The Dark Devil race is too powerful. It is like an insurmountable mountain to us. If we had agreed, we would have been wiped out. Emo Qingyun nodded in agreement when he heard Huang Gang's words. He didn't blame them. Emo Qingyun remained silent for a while. He then said to Huang Gang and the others, "I am heading to the Blood Soul Jade Sky Palace to rescue Zishu. I might attack the Dark Devil race. If I go with you, you might be implicated. I will follow behind you alone." "That is good too." Huang Gang didn't object to Emo Qingyun's plan and nodded in agreement. Shortly after, Huang Gang and the others set off and led the way for Emo Qingyun. Chapter 2994. A few hours later, Huang Gang and the others led the way. Emo Qingyun saw a huge blood mountain with blood jade palaces floating on top of it. Emo Qingyun immediately frowned when he saw the crimson jade palaces. He was greatly puzzled. That's strange. I've never heard of a place like this in the Blood Soul Galaxy when I was in the Wood Origin Galaxy. The taboos on these blood jade palaces are of an extremely high level. They are definitely not created by a two-star force. As Emo Qingyun thought of this, he vaguely came up with a bold guess. If he wasn't wrong, this Blood Jade Palace might be related to the Taisher Blood Soul Palace. Let's find Zishu first. I'll deal with the other matters. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he entered the Blood Jade Palace after dismissing all the distracting thoughts in his mind. Arriving at the Blood Jade Palace, Missouri Qingyun released his divine sense and sensed the entire palace. While Emo Qingyun was searching, he also asked Chen to help him in order to increase the speed of his search. Chen's divine sense was stronger than his. Under the perception of his divine sense, if Wang Zishu was really here, she would be discovered more easily. "Master, I've found Lady Zishu. She's in that pavilion." Chen released his spiritual force and sensed Wang Zishu. He immediately sent a message to Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun lifted his head and saw a pavilion in the sky after hearing Chen's instructions. A beginner sector lord and a few universe grades are hiding in that pavilion. Emo Qingyun released his divine sense and scanned the loft. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Given his current strength, he didn't feel any pressure dealing with such a group of people. Of course, the lineup of these people was a force that the Heavenly Bull Divine sect could only look up to. After finding Wang Zishu's hiding place, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and he appeared in the loft in the sky. Break! Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate to attack the defensive taboos after entering the pavilion in the sky. The defensive taboos of the pavilion in the sky were instantly destroyed by Emo Qingyun's all-out attack. Boom! 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 The moment the defensive taboos of the pavilion in the sky were broken, a loud sound was heard and attracted the attention of everyone in the Blood Soul Jade Sky Palace. Immediately, everyone flew over to see what was going on. It seems like Qingyun has made his move. When they arrived near the pavilion in the sky, Huang Gang and the others tensed up as they made their guesses. In their opinion, no one besides Emo Qingyun would dare to make a move in the Blood Soul Jade Sky Palace. After destroying the pavilion's defensive restriction, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and entered the pavilion. Then, a familiar figure entered Emo Qingyun's eyes. "Zishu, Zishu, I'm here." Looking at the familiar figure in front of him, Emo Qingyun had a look of self-blame on his face as he called out to her. When she heard Emo Qingyun's name, the beautiful figure in front trembled visibly. Then, she turned her head to look at Emo Qingyun. When she saw Emo Qingyun, her eyes became moist and she became emotional. After that, she directly threw herself into Emo Qingyun's arms while sparkling and translucent tears surged into her eyes. She said, "I thought I would never see you again. I wasn't dreaming, right? Don't be silly. I'll bring you out now." Emo Qingyun gently stroked Wang Zishu's hair and smiled at her. He then turned and walked out of the pavilion in the sky. When Emo Qingyun and Wang Zishu walked out, the pavilion in the sky was already surrounded by people. Among these people, there were people from the Dark Devil clan and people who had come to offer offerings. "Who is that kid? How dare he barge into the Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace? He's too bold. That woman is from the Divine Wood Imperial family. It seems that this kid is also from the Divine Wood Imperial family. He's willing to risk his life for a woman. This kid is also infatuated. It's a pity that they'll soon become a bunch of lovebirds." Some of the forces who had come to offer offerings looked at Emo Qingyun and Wang Zishu with pity. At this moment, while everyone was feeling sorry for Emo Qingyun, a young man from the Dark Devil clan looked at Wang Zishu with a ferocious expression. "Wang Zishu, I've always treated you like a saintess and didn't dare to take advantage of you. How dare you go behind my back and try to run away with someone else's man? Since you don't want face, I'll kill this kid later and turn you into a prostitute." Hearing the young man's words, Wang Zishu's pretty face trembled and panic flashed in her eyes. Obviously, she had an instinctive fear of the young man in front of her. Seeing Wang Zishu's expression, Emo Qingyun patted her hand and said, "Don't be afraid. With me here, they won't be able to jump around." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Wang Zishu's expression improved a little, but her expression was still tense. "Qingyun, he's called Jianggu. He's the only son of Palace Master Zimui. He's very powerful and has already reached the peak of the universe realm. He's only at the peak of the universe realm. He's just an ant." Emo Qingyun smiled indifferently at Wang Zishu's reminder. He didn't put Jianggu in his eyes at all. Seeing Emo Qingyun's arrogant look, Jianggu's face darkened and a strong anger arose. "What an arrogant kid! I'd like to see what kind of capital you have to be so arrogant." As Jianggu's words fell, his figure moved and attacked Emo Qingyun. Seeing Jianggu's attack, Emo Qingyun didn't move at all. He didn't even raise his hand. Scram! Emo Qingyun snorted coldly. A terrifying aura erupted from his body. Immediately after, this aura was like a berserk ferocious tiger as it bombarded towards Jiang Valley. Bang! Under the impact of Emo Qingyun's aura, Jianggu was directly sent flying and crashed into a floating palace. Under the impact of Jiang Valley, the floating palaces were instantly smashed into pieces one after another. Immediately after, Jiang Valley was like a dead dog, falling down from mid-air. Young Palace Master. Seeing Jianggu's miserable state, the group of people from the Dark Demon race immediately revealed nervous expressions. Following that, they flew towards Purple Flame Valley and helped Purple Sun Valley up. With the help of his subordinates, Jianggu stood up with difficulty. He looked at Emo Qingyun with a dark gaze and said, "Don't just stand there. Immediately attack together and capture this kid. Remember, don't kill him. I want to capture him alive and slowly torture him." "Yes." Hearing Jianggu's order, The group of people from the dark demon race immediately rushed towards Mo Qingyun. Seeing such a scene, the expressions of the surrounding people tensed up. They couldn't help but feel worried for Mo Qingyun. End of chapter. Chapter 2995. At Jiang Valley's command, a group of people from the Dark Demon clan surrounded Mo Qingyun. Seeing this, Wang Zishu's face tightened, her beautiful eyes filled with intense worry. The aura they emitted was even stronger than Jiang Valley. Obviously they were also universe-level warriors. Don't worry, just a bunch of ants. Seeing Wang Zishu's tense face, Mo Qingyun smiled at her and comforted her. Hearing Mo Qingyun's comforting words, Wang Zishu's face turned for the better, but her hands were still tightly clenched. Kill! The group of dark demons sized up Mo Qingyun cautiously, then they charged towards Mo Qingyun. When they charged towards Mo Qingyun, they didn't show any mercy, they all used their strongest abilities. When Mo Qingyun made his move just now, they had already seen the terrifying strength that he displayed. If they dared to show mercy, they might be killed by Mo Qingyun in one strike. Immediately after, a series of terrifying divine abilities whizzed toward Mo Qingyun. Seeing this, everyone's expression tightened, they didn't dare to make a sound. Die! Seeing the group attacking him, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold. He protected Wang Zishu behind him. While protecting Wang Zishu, waves of terrifying sword aura quickly condensed beside Mo Qingyun. So. The auras turned into streaks of light after they were done forming. They fired at the approaching skills. Under the attack of the sword aura, the abilities were instantly dispersed, turning into saint power and dissipating in mid-air. After dispersing everyone's abilities, the sword aura didn't slow down at all, it continued to attack them. How is this possible? How can he be so strong? Sector Lord level. He's a Sector Lord level warrior. Run! Seeing Mo Qingyun's formidable strength, the Dark Devil Races group all revealed alarmed expressions. Immediately, they didn't dare to fight with Mo Qingyun, they retreated backwards. The corners of Mo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly when he saw how the dark demons reacted. He smiled disdainfully. Do you think you can escape from me? After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he waved his hand, controlling the sword aura to attack them. The sword aura was extremely fast. It caught up to them in the blink of an eye, piercing through their bodies. Soon after, the bodies of these people were directly blasted apart. Bang! In just a moment, the dark demons that attacked Mo Qingyun were all killed on the spot. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned, their mouths wide open. Could fit a chrysanthemum. So strong. I can't believe that he's a Sector Lord level. No wonder he dared to barge into the Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace. So he had such a trump card. Gulp. Words of shock came out from everyone's mouth. Immediately, the way they looked at Mo Qingyun changed greatly. Not only were the others like that, Huang Gang and the others also revealed a shocked expression when they saw Mo Qingyun's strength. Although they already knew that Mo Qingyun's cultivation had reached Sector Lord level, they were still shocked when they saw Mo Qingyun's battle strength. Such terrifying battle strength had completely exceeded their understanding. After killing the dark demons, Mo Qingyun looked towards Jiang Valley and smiled faintly. You still want to capture me alive and torture me to death? Facing Mo Qingyun's question, Jiang Valley was so frightened that his face twitched. His eyes filled with intense shock. Mo Qingyun's strength was too strong, so strong that it exceeded his understanding. His father was also a Sector Lord, but the battle strength he displayed couldn't be compared to Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Jiang Valley's fear. His tone gradually turned cold. Seeing that you didn't harm Zishu, I'll give you a chance to kill yourself. Do it yourself. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jiang Valley's expression changed and cold sweat dripped down his forehead. He was the young palace master of the Blood Soul Jade Palace, the son of a Sector Lord. He wasn't willing to kill himself just like that. At this moment, just as Jiang Valley was feeling fear, a figure flew over rapidly. Seeing this figure appear, Jiang Gu's expression immediately turned joyful. He excitedly flew towards him and said, "Father, quickly save me." Not long after this figure appeared, another figure emitting a terrifying aura flew over from the Blood Jade Palace. Seeing the two of them, Jiang Valley's expression relaxed, and he felt more confident. What happened? The two of them arrived in front of Jiang Valley. Zimui's face was dark as he questioned Jiang Valley. Hearing Zimui's question, Jiang Valley had a guilty expression. He pointed at Mo Qingyun and said, "This kid came to the Blood Soul Jade Palace to cause trouble. I brought people to stop him, but not only did he kill 12 blood guards, he even wanted to capture me." While Jiang Valley was explaining, Zimui and Jiang Valley's gaze towards Mo Qingyun instantly turned cold. Intermediate Sector Lord Realm. Zimui frowned when he sensed Mo Qingyun's cultivation. A sliver of fear appeared in his eyes. He said, "Kid, you're quite bold. You actually dared to cause trouble in my Blood Soul Jade Sky Palace. If that's the case, you can stay here." As Zimui finished speaking, he nodded to the people beside him and charged towards Mo Qingyun together. The moment Zimui and Jiang Valley's attack, they released a terrifying aura that enveloped Mo Qingyun. Seeing Zimui and Jiang Valley's attack, Jiang Valley revealed a proud smile, as though he had already captured Mo Qingyun. He said, "Kid, no matter how strong you are, you can only wait for death in front of Father and Jiang Valley's new uncle." Looking at the scene in front of them, the expressions of the people who were besieging them tensed up. Mo Qingyun's strength was very strong. They had just witnessed it. But they didn't think that Mo Qingyun would be able to win against Zimui and Mo Qingyun. After all, Zimui and Jiang Valley's cultivation were both at the Sector Lord Realm. It would be very difficult for Mo Qingyun to win against the two of them. The two Sector Lords of the Blood Soul Jade Palace are here. This kid is in trouble. This kid is too arrogant. He should have left immediately after killing the Blood Guard. A supreme genius is going to fall just like that. What a pity. Everyone sighed in their hearts, thinking that Mo Qingyun was dead for sure. Hearing the words of the people around them, the expressions of Huang Gang and the others tensed up. They said, "I wonder if Qingyun has the strength to contend against the two of them. I hope he has the confidence to protect himself." After Huang Gang finished speaking, his expression tensed up as he stared intently at Mo Qingyun. Under everyone's nervous gaze, Mo Qingyun smirked and began to attack Zimui and Li Mu. Chapter 2996. The moment Mo Qingyun made a move, a terrifying power of law erupted from his body. The 9-bull divine sword in his hand slashed out a dazzling sword light that fused with the power of law. Following which, the sword light blasted towards Zimui and Huang Mu, causing their expressions to change. What a powerful aura! Sensing the aura of the sword light, Zimui was shocked and they dodged. However, just as they were about to dodge, a domineering power of law enveloped them. Following which, they discovered that their movements were restricted. After understanding their situation, Zimui and Huang Mu didn't dare to delay and immediately attacked the space around them. What shocked them was that even if they used all their strength, they couldn't destroy the space around them. Seeing this situation, Zimui and Huang Mu were shocked, and the shock in their eyes became even stronger. Just as the two of them were panicking, the sword light approached them and swallowed them up. No, after being attacked by the sword light, Zimui and Huang Mu screamed and were sent flying. Shortly after, the two of them vomited blood and their faces became as pale as paper. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were stunned and they were petrified. Two sector lords joining forces were actually not a match for a single move from Mo Qingyun. In this case, what level had Mo Qingyun's true strength reached? Qing. Qin Yun's strength has actually reached such a level. Seeing Mo Qingyun's strength, Huang Gang's expression immediately trembled and he said this shocking sentence. No matter how rich his imagination was, if he didn't see it with his own eyes, he would never believe that Mo Qingyun's strength would be so strong. Defeating 2 sector lords with 1 sword, his strength is too terrifying. Defeating 2 sector lords with 1 sword so easily, I'm afraid only a quasi-emperor can do this. Could it be that his true strength is comparable to a quasi-emperor? Everyone's faces were filled with astonishment. They were completely stunned by this scene. Seeing Zimui and Huang Mu being defeated in 1 move, the smile on Jiang Valley's face froze. This result was something he had never imagined even in his dreams. No, this can't be real. This must be an illusion. Jiang Valley's face was filled with agitation as he hugged his head and shook it continuously. He was unable to accept the scene before him. Mo Qingyun sent Zimui and the other disciple flying with a single sword strike. He flew towards Jiang Valley and said coldly, "Earlier, I gave you a chance to kill yourself. Since you aren't willing to accept it, I can only send you on your way." As Mo Qingyun's words fell, he didn't waste any more words with Jiang Valley and directly swung his sword at him. Then a sword ray with a threatening aura slashed out from the 9-bull divine sword. Looking at the approaching sword ray, Jiang Valley was so scared that his face turned pale. He begged, Don't kill me, Puchi." Without waiting for Jiang Valley to finish speaking, the sword radiance pierced through his body, severing his life force. Soon after, Jiang Valley fell from the sky with a face full of unwillingness. Gu. Seeing that Ziyang Gu had been killed, Zimu Yi's face was filled with grief and indignation. She immediately flew towards him. Then, Jiang Valley's body was borrowed. Unfortunately, his life force was already gone. "Brat, you've gone too far. I'm going to perish with you." Putting Jiang Valley's body aside, Zimu Yi's face darkened as he flew towards Mo Qingyun. Seeing Zimu Yi's actions, Zilongxin didn't hesitate at all and also rushed towards Mo Qingyun. At this moment, Zimu Yi and the other disciples' aura was obviously colder than before. "Since you're courting death, I'll send you to the grave with me." Seeing Zimu Yi and the other disciples attack, Mo Qingyun snorted coldly and the aura he exuded was also cold. Then, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and he went towards the 2 of them. Arriving in front of Zimu Yi and the other disciple, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and directly slashed at them with his sword. Then, an even more threatening sword radiance blasted towards Zimu Yi and the other disciple. Facing the domineering sword radiance, Zimu Yi didn't dare to be careless and quickly defended himself. Bang bang, after blocking the sword radiance, Zimu Yi and the other disciple were hit by a terrifying force and their bodies were sent flying. Once again, they collided with Mo Qingyun and were sent flying by Mo Qingyun. Zimu Yi and the other disciple were even more shocked. At this point, they already knew that the 2 of them were no match for Mo Qingyun. Zimu Yi and the other disciple understood this and didn't dare to continue fighting. They immediately retreated. "Where do you think you're going?" Seeing Zimu Yi and the other disciples' actions, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold and he chased after them. Seeing Mo Qingyun chasing after them, Zimu Yi sneered and said, "Reckless brat, I think you're tired of living." After saying that, Zimu Yi flew into a valley and hid in a cave. Seeing Zimu Yi and the other disciples' actions, Mo Qingyun didn't immediately chase after them. Instead, he slashed at the mountain peak. Boom! Under Mo Qingyun's slash, the mountain peak immediately shook violently and huge rocks collapsed. In the blink of an eye, nearly half of the huge blood crystal mountain had collapsed. Zimu Yi and the other disciple, who were hiding in the mountain peak, flew out one after another. However, when they looked at Mo Qingyun, there was no fear or panic in their eyes. Before Mo Qingyun could attack them again, Mo Qingyun saw a figure coming out of the cave. Great Emperor Realm Expert. Sensing the aura of the figure, Emo Qingyun was shocked and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. He didn't expect that a great Emperor Realm expert would come from such a small blood-soul galaxy. Shortly after, a trace of doubt appeared in Emo Qingyun's heart. He was curious as to why this was happening. In his opinion, it was already very abnormal for 2 sector lords to come to a small 2-star region. Now that there was another great Emperor Realm expert, it wasn't just abnormal, it was strange. Emo Qingyun pondered for a moment. The corners of his eyes narrowed as he guessed a possibility. He thought to himself, could it be that they're here for the same reason as me? They're here to search for the sovereign blood essence jade of the Genesis Blood Soul Palace? When this thought appeared in his mind, Emo Qingyun nodded in understanding. He felt that everything was very reasonable. Great Emperor Realm expert, this kid's strength is strange. Please capture and kill him. Zimu Yi and the other disciple cupped their fists respectfully and asked for instructions when they saw the great Emperor Realm expert. The Emperor Realm powerhouse turned his head to look at Emo Qingyun when he heard their conversation. When he looked at Emo Qingyun, he released his great Emperor might and changed the surrounding power of laws. Chapter 2997. Kid, your performance really surprised this old man. The Emperor Realm expert stared coldly at Emo Qingyun and said in a surprised tone, a mere intermediate sector lord possesses strength comparable to an Emperor Realm expert. This is the first time I've seen a monstrous genius like you. Zimui and Huang Gang's eyes widened when they heard the Emperor Realm expert's words. They originally thought that Emo Qingyun's strength was only comparable to a quasi-Emperor Realm expert. They didn't expect him to reach the Emperor Realm. Although it was just a difference of one word, the difference was completely different. Surprised. Emo Qingyun chuckled and shook his head. He said, my performance later won't just surprise you, it'll terrify you. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed as he took the initiative to attack the Emperor Realm expert. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, the surrounding people were stunned. They were so scared that their backs were drenched in cold sweat. They didn't dare to believe that Emo Qingyun dared to take the initiative to attack an Emperor Realm expert. Is that kid crazy? That's an Emperor Realm expert. Could it be that he has the confidence to fight against a martial Emperor expert? Are you crazy too? Intermediate Sector Lord Realm, Combat Emperor Realm, is that possible? It doesn't matter if he can win or not. We can't afford to offend someone like him. He's too crazy. Everyone was shocked when they saw Emo Qingyun's actions, but more than that, they were wary. Huang Gang and the others tensed up when they saw Emo Qingyun's expression. They were extremely worried. I didn't expect the first Emperor Realm expert to be hidden in the Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace. We were careless this time. I hope nothing happens to Qingyun. Huang Gang and the others were shocked by Emo Qingyun's strength. But they didn't have the slightest confidence that Emo Qingyun would be able to fight an Emperor Realm expert. Huang Gang and the others watched nervously as Emo Qingyun and the Emperor Realm expert fought. While they were worried, Emo Qingyun flashed and appeared in front of the Emperor Realm expert. The Emperor Realm expert wasn't afraid of Emo Qingyun's attack. He took the initiative to meet Emo Qingyun. Kid, you're brave, but you're too naive. An Emperor Realm expert isn't someone you can fight. 10,000 finger destruction. The Emperor Realm expert from the Dark Devil race roared and pointed at Emo Qingyun. A terrifying Saint Power burst out. Saint Power surged out like an ocean wave and turned into rays of Saint Power finger light that shot towards Emo Qingyun. Bang bang bang, wherever the finger light passed, there would be a loud explosion, and cracks would appear in the space. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people held their breaths, their faces filled with fear. Even Zimui and the other two who were at the back were so frightened that they kept retreating. While everyone was frightened and retreating, Emo Qingyun did not retreat in the slightest. He continued to charge forward. Sword force rise. Facing the incoming finger light, Emo Qingyun formed rays of sword force outside his body. Once the sword force was formed, it shot towards the finger light and collided violently with it. Bang bang bang, the finger light and sword force collided, creating a series of loud bangs and Saint Power storms. Under the impact of the Saint Power storms, the shattered space around them began to collapse. Immediately after, a terrifying spatial devouring power erupted from the spatial black hole. Emo Qingyun didn't dare to be careless. He immediately rode the Pegasus to avoid the attack. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed, disappearing from his original spot and appearing behind the great emperor. Emperor Realm Expert, watch out! Master Zxiang, he's behind you. Seeing Emo Qingyun appear, Zi Mui and Huang Gang, who were fighting in the distance, shouted anxiously. Hearing Zi Mui and Huang Gang's shouts, Zxiang's face twitched. He immediately turned his head. The moment Zi Xiao turned his head, Emo Qingyun swung his sword at him, creating a sharp sword light. What a sharp sword! Seeing Emo Qingyun's attack, Zxiang's face trembled. He felt a chill down his spine. He could sense that the might of Emo Qingyun's sword strike was enough to threaten his life. While Zxiang was shocked, he didn't hesitate. He immediately pointed his finger at the sword light. There was a black hole behind him. He couldn't dodge and could only take Emo Qingyun's attack head-on. Sky-piercing finger. Zxiang pointed his finger and a terrifying Saint Power erupted. It turned into a huge finger light. The finger power blasted out and collided with the Nine Bulls' sword light. What shocked everyone was that when the finger light and the sword light collided, there was no Saint Power fluctuation. Just as everyone was feeling puzzled, the sword beam pierced through the finger beam in a strange way. After that, the sword ray continued to shoot towards Zi Ruo without any decrease in its power. How could this be? Looking at this abnormal scene, Zxiang's old face twitched and his eyes widened. To him, the situation in front of him was too strange. Puff! Without waiting for Zi Dan to recover from his shock, the sword light blasted onto his body, and a terrifying force exploded out. After being hit by the sword light, Zxiang was sent flying into the black hole. He was swallowed by the black hole. No, feeling the black hole devouring him, Zxiang was scared out of his wits. His face twisted in horror. Then, he used all of his strength to try and break free from the black hole's devouring. With all his strength, he suppressed the black hole's devouring power and began to fly out of the black hole. Seeing that Zxiang was about to escape, Emo Qingyun's face turned cold and said, "Since you're already in, don't come out." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he slapped Zxiang with his palm and blasted out a terrifying power of the law. Immediately, the space in front of Zxiang was confined by the power of the law. The space in front of him was forcibly sealed and Zxiang's escape route was forcibly cut off. Without a way to escape, the black hole's devouring power that enveloped him began to strengthen rapidly. After a short while, he could not resist the devouring power of the black hole and was forcefully dragged into it. As Zxiang was dragged into the black hole slowly shrunk and finally disappeared completely. Seeing such a scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, unable to recover for a long time. A great Emperor Realm powerhouse was actually dealt with by Emo Qingyun just like that. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it. Such an outcome was beyond common sense to any of them. Chapter 2998. That Emperor Realm Expert was defeated by Emo Qingyun. I didn't expect that even an Emperor Realm Expert wouldn't be a match for him. His strength is too terrifying. Is he really at the intermediate sector Lord Realm? Is this kid really from the Divine Wood Continent? When did such a genius appear in the Divine Wood Continent? In an instant, everyone was puzzled and curious about Emo Qingyun's origins. In their opinion, given Emo Qingyun's monstrous talent, it was impossible for him to be unknown. After seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, the thoughts of Huang Gang and the others were not much different from the rest. I didn't expect that we would still underestimate Qin Yun and his cultivation talent. Huang Gang couldn't help but sigh when he saw that Mo Qingyun could even defeat an Emperor Realm expert. In just a few years, he broke through from the Celestial Domain grade to the Sector Lord Realm. His combat strength has surpassed ordinary Emperor Realm expert. His cultivation talent is too terrifying. Listening to Huang Gang's words, Tai Balong and the others' expressions changed as they sighed. Tai Balong sighed. I didn't expect that such a genius would come from the Heavenly Bull Divine sect. This is unbelievable. He didn't come from the Heavenly Bull Divine sect. He came from a continent that doesn't even have a star grade. Another old man emphasized. Tai Balong and the others fell silent when they heard the old man's words. They didn't know what to say. Compared to the shock of the onlookers, Zi Mui and Zi Luo were undoubtedly filled with intense fear. They truly did not expect that even Zi Xiang personally taking action was dealt with by Mo Qingyun. No, impossible. How can he be a match for Elder Zi Su with his cultivation? Zi Mui revealed a crazed expression when he recalled that Zi Xiang was an Emperor Realm expert. He couldn't accept this outcome. Although Zi Longxin didn't say anything, he probably had the same thoughts as Zi Mui based on his shocked expression. Looking at the agitated Zi Mui and Mo Qingyun's expression was cold. He slowly walked towards them and said, "Now I want to ask you, do I still want to die?" Zi Mui was speechless when he heard Mo Qingyun's question. He was so angry that his face turned ashen. Mo Qingyun snorted coldly when he saw that Zi Mui was speechless. He didn't want to waste any more time talking to him. "Since you have nothing to say, I'll send you on your way." After Mo Qingyun said that, his silhouette flickered and he dashed towards Zi Mui and Zi Mu. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attack, Zi Mui and Mo Qingyun's expressions trembled and they immediately exchanged a look. Without any hesitation, they immediately turned around and fled into the distance. Seeing the two's actions, Mo Qingyun snorted coldly and chased after them on his holy power Pegasus. Mo Qingyun's figure flickered. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Zi Mui and Mo Qingyun. Zi Mui shrank back in pain when he saw that their escape route was blocked. He looked terrified. Mo Qingyun's movement speed was too fast. With their flying speed, it was impossible for them to escape from Mo Qingyun. "Boy, it won't do you any good to go against the Dark Devil tribe." Seeing that he had no hope of escaping, Zi Mui suppressed the fear in his heart and warned Mo Qingyun, "Although we offended your girlfriend before, we paid a price for it. We even lost a great emperor. How about we forget about our enmity?" As soon as Zi Mui finished speaking, Zi Longxin's face darkened. He said arrogantly, "Little brat, the 4-star regions have already been occupied by my clan. If you try to kill us, we'll immediately send a message to my clan. At that time, you can just wait to be hunted down by my clan." After Zi Mui and the other man finished speaking, he revealed a nervous expression and waited for Mo Qingyun's reply. Although they were confident that ordinary people wouldn't make a move against them in such a situation, however, they didn't have the slightest bit of confidence when facing Mo Qingyun. They couldn't figure out what Mo Qingyun was thinking. There was nothing they could do about it. During the battle just now, they had already discovered that Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid of the Dark Devil race at all. Mo Qingyun's face darkened. "If it was any other tribe, I could accept it. However, it's impossible for the Dark Devil tribe to do that. You should give up and die peacefully under my sword." Mo Qingyun didn't waste any more words with them. He immediately slashed his sword at them. Then, a sword ray with a threatening aura shot out from the 9-bull divine sword. No, seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Zi Mui and the other man were shocked. Their eyes were filled with intense fear. This was because they discovered that their movements had been forcefully restrained by another force. Puff, under the shocked gazes of Zimui and the young man, the sword light closed in on them and slammed into their bodies. Zimui and the other man were immediately blasted apart by the domineering sword light. Soon after, their life auras completely vanished. Seeing Emo Qingyun's domineering action, the surrounding people were shocked and looked at each other. Zimui and the other man are dead. What about our offerings? It seems that the Dark Devil Tribe stronghold is going to be destroyed. Let's leave first. We don't want to get into trouble. Let's go. Seeing that Zimui and the other man were killed, the surrounding people immediately left. They didn't dare to stay any longer. Sect leader, let's leave too. Seeing that the other forces had left, Huang Gang and the others didn't want to stay any longer and left with the others. Emo Qingyun didn't come with them because he didn't want to be associated with them. If they stayed, it would waste Emo Qingyun's efforts. Emo Qingyun didn't care about their departure. He looked at the bloody mountain where Zixiang had come from. There must be something unusual about Zixiang and the other man staying here. Emo Qingyun frowned when he thought about the unusual appearance of Zixiang and the other man. He was trying to guess their intentions. Then, he took out the map that Lei Muan had given him and compared it with the current situation. After looking at the map, Emo Qingyun was shocked and his body trembled in excitement. He didn't expect that the Blood Soul Jade Sky Palace was located at the same location as the Taisher Blood Soul Palace. It seems that my previous guess was right. After confirming the current location, Emo Qingyun had a clear answer to his previous guess. Zixiang and the other man were indeed here for the Emperor Blood Essence Jade. End of chapter. Chapter 2999. Given Zixiang's status, he shouldn't be in an ordinary bloody mountain peak. It seems like there's something wrong with that bloody mountain peak. Emo Qingyun looked around and noticed that something was amiss. With a flash, he flew to the blood-colored mountain where Zixiang was hiding. When he arrived above the bloody mountain peak, Emo Qingyun immediately swung his sword towards the mountain peak without hesitation. Pung! As Emo Qingyun swung his sword, the blood-colored mountain was immediately split open, and a passageway appeared. When he saw the passageway, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and he flew in. After entering the passageway, Emo Qingyun appeared in front of him. It had been there for a very long time. Some of the formation taboos that had been set up had also shown signs of collapsing due to the passage of time. Apart from that, Emo Qingyun also saw that there were obvious signs of an intense battle in the passageway. This passageway was definitely not set up by the Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace. It should have been left behind by the Taisher Blood Soul Palace. When he saw the situation in the passageway, Emo Qingyun became even more certain of his guess. Then, Emo Qingyun quickly walked into the passageway without stopping. The deeper he went into the passageway, the more Emo Qingyun realized that the formation taboos in the passageway were extraordinary. The grade of these formation taboos has already reached the level of a level 8 sacred array. Emo Qingyun was shocked as he looked at the formation taboos before him that were emitting terrifying fluctuations of formation energy. Even if a great Emperor Realm expert entered the level 8 holy array by mistake, he would still have a slim chance of survival. The Blood Soul Jade Heavenly Palace was originally a 2-star force. How could they have set up such formation taboos? The reason was self-evident. When he realized this, Emo Qingyun's face was filled with anticipation. Then, he quickened his pace and carefully passed through the formation taboos. Who's there? After Emo Qingyun walked for a while, a cold voice was suddenly heard in front of him. Hearing these words, Emo Qingyun's expression shook, and a look of intense shock appeared on his face. He did not expect that there would be someone else in this bloody place. With this discovery, Emo Qingyun raised his guard and released his divine sense to scan the area ahead. 3 quasi-emperors. Emo Qingyun used his divine sense to check the front. After confirming the number of people and their cultivation, His expression relaxed a little. Given his current strength, it would not be difficult to deal with 3 quasi-emperors. Now that he knew the depth of the other party's strength, Emo Qingyun no longer concealed himself and walked towards them at a leisurely pace. When the 3 of them saw Emo Qingyun's arrival, their expressions all tensed up. They sized up Emo Qingyun with fear in their eyes. Intermediate Sector Lord Realm. Sensing Emo Qingyun's cultivation level, the 3 of them relaxed a little, and their eyes revealed a trace of disdain. An old man in a golden robe walked out from the group of 3. He stared coldly at Emo Qingyun and said, "Kid, who are you? Why are you here?" Emo Qingyun did not care about the other party's cold question. Instead, he asked them back, "Who are the 3 of you? Why are you here? What is your relationship with the Dark Devil race?" Emo Qingyun sensed that the 3 of them did not have any complicated bloodline aura. They should not be from the Dark Devil race. Since they were not from the Dark Devil race, Emo Qingyun did not want to make things difficult for them. After all, he was not a bloodthirsty person. In a situation where he had no enmity with others, he did not like to kill. Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, the 3 of them were stunned and could not help but look at each other. It seems like this kid is not from the Dark Devil race. How did he come here? There was an intense battle outside just now. It seems like he sneaked in during the chaos. It's not up to us to care about this. Let's not meddle in other people's business and chase him out. That's good. Otherwise, when that old dog Xixiang comes back, he will be unhappy with the 3 of us. After hearing Emo Qingyun's question, the 3 of them conversed for a while before coming to a decision. The old man from before walked out again and stared coldly at Emo Qingyun. "Kid, we don't have time to chat with you. Leave this place immediately and we will treat it as if you were never here." As soon as the old man said that, a terrifying aura exuded from the 3 of them. What a powerful array power fluctuation. These 3 are all sacred array masters. Emo Qingyun was startled when he sensed the aura fluctuation of the 3 people. Then, realization dawned on his face. It seems like the 3 of them have appeared here because they were captured by Xixiang to help him break the restriction of the array formation. When Emo Qingyun understood this, a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth as he made a decision. Given his attainments in array formations, it would not be easy to break the array formation in the passageway. If he had the help of these 3 people, it would be much easier. The 3 of you are grade 8 sacred array masters? Under the cold gazes of the 3 people, Emo Qingyun did not leave. Instead, he smiled faintly and said, "If I'm not wrong, the 3 of you were captured by Xixiang to break the restriction of the array formation here, right?" When they heard Emo Qingyun's question, the 3 of them were shocked and whispered to each other. The 3 of them exchanged a few words before an old man walked forward with a cold and displeased expression. He said, "Since you already know, then why don't you leave this place immediately? Otherwise, once Elder Ziquan returns, it will be impossible for you to leave even if you want to." "Leave? I won't leave." Emo Qingyun did not care about the 3 people's threats at all. He smiled faintly and said, "However, I'm afraid Xixiang won't be coming back, let alone chasing me away." "What do you mean by that?" The 3 of them were puzzled as they did not understand Emo Qingyun's meaning. Under their puzzled gazes, Emo Qingyun still smiled faintly and said, "Because not long ago, Xixiang was sent to the outer space by me. As for whether he is still alive, that will depend on his luck." "What? You sent Xixiang to the outer space? Just based on your intermediate sector lord cultivation? You're really boasting shamelessly. Don't waste your breath on this kid. Since he isn't willing to leave, then let's kick him out." When they saw Emo Qingyun was still unwilling to leave, the 3 of them lost their patience and attacked Emo Qingyun together. Soon, strange and profound hand seals were formed by the 3 of them. When these hand seals were formed, They struck the restriction of the array formation in the surroundings and produced a shocking fluctuation of array energy. When he saw this, Mo Qingyun was shocked and his eyes were filled with intense shock. After that, Mo Qingyun raised his vigilance and prepared to fight the three of them. He was very clear that from the current situation, it was impossible to get the three of them to help him without using his fists. End of chapter. Chapter 3000. Let me see the strength of a quasi-8-grade Saint Array Master. Mo Qingyun's expression turned solemn as a shocking wave of saint power erupted from his body. Immediately after, a huge saint power Pegasus formed beneath Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun rode the sacred power Pegasus. With a flash, he disappeared from where he stood. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had disappeared, the three of them no longer had a target to attack. Their expressions immediately became tense. The methods that Mo Qingyun displayed gave them a feeling that was too bizarre. Where did that kid go? Why can't I sense his presence? The formation has been activated. With his intermediate sector Lord cultivation, it's impossible for him to leave the formation silently. This kid can hide from Purple Xiong's senses and come here silently. This means that he has some extraordinary abilities. We can't be careless. Seeing Mo Qingyun disappear, the trio tensed up and released their divine sense to sense the surroundings. While the three of them were sensing, a slightly thin figure appeared behind them. Arriving behind them, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately swung his sword at them. Immediately after, the nine-bull divine sword flashed and a sharp sword ray blasted out. As the sword ray neared, the trio immediately felt a bone-chilling intent behind them. Oh no, he really left the formation. He's right behind us. Sensing Mo Qingyun's presence, the three of them cried out in alarm and turned their heads to look behind them. Seeing the sword ray rapidly nearing, the trio trembled in fear and quickly defended against the sword ray. As the three of them made their moves, mysterious saint inscriptions formed one after another in front of them. These saint runes gathered together and formed a simple formation that emitted a wave of formation energy. Pucci. Facing the simple formation's defense, the sword ray didn't stop at all and directly pierced through it. Seeing that their defense wasn't effective at all, the trio was instantly scared silly. Soon after, they even forgot to put up the most basic resistance. Bang bang bang. The three of them gave up on resisting, and the sword light slammed into their bodies, sending them flying. The three of them flew back for a short distance before crashing into the wall of the passageway, causing them to feel dizzy. Immediately after, the trio spat out mouthfuls of blood as their breathing became chaotic and their faces turned pale. This was after Mo Qingyun showed mercy. Otherwise, they might not even be able to stand up. After sending the trio flying, Mo Qingyun didn't attack again and walked towards them with a faint smile. After witnessing Mo Qingyun's strength, the trio immediately put on a cautious look when they saw Mo Qingyun approaching. Although they only exchanged one blow, they already knew that they weren't Mo Qingyun's match. Mo Qingyun's technique was too strange for the trio. Guys, can I discuss something with you? Mo Qingyun asked with a faint smile on his face as he walked up to the group of people. Seeing that Mo Qingyun didn't attack, the trio's expressions relaxed a little, but they still asked with vigilance, "Sir, what do you want us to do? If it's within our abilities, we'll do our best to help you." Hearing the old man's words, Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction. These three were quite sensible. Seeing the attitude of the three old men, Mo Qingyun didn't beat around the bush and directly stated his intentions. He said, "What I want you to do is very simple for you. Just help me break the formation restriction in front of me." The trio was dumbfounded when they heard Mo Qingyun's request. They thought they had misheard. Could this be considered a request for the three of them? The three of them came here to help Zi Xiong break the formation restriction. Even if he didn't ask them to do it, they would still do it. Emo Chingyun didn't pay them any mind when he saw their shocked expressions. He spoke to them again. Although heat is also a taboo to break the formation, you're obeying a different person. You're no longer obeying Zi Xiang. Instead, you're obeying me. Listen to all my orders. The three of them looked at each other, not understanding what Emo Chingyun meant. The three of them were silent for a while. Then, one of the elders stood up and said, "My friend, although you're powerful, the three of us are no match for you. We have no choice but to listen to your orders. But breaking the formation restriction isn't something that can be done in a short time. If you continue to stay here, if Zi Xiang comes back here, it'll be too late for you to leave." Hearing this, the other two nodded in agreement. Seeing the trio's reaction, Emo Chingyun's expression softened. He knew that they meant well. Then, Emo Chingyun smiled at the three of them and said nonchalantly, "You don't have to worry about this. Zi Xiang will never come back. However, you've reminded me. If the dark demons can't contact Zi Xiang, they'll send someone else. I should prepare." After Emo Chingyun finished speaking, he revealed a thoughtful expression. He was thinking about how to deal with the other dark demons. Seeing Emo Chingyun's reaction, the three of them whispered to each other. Looking at him, it seems like he's not lying. The strength he displayed just now has reached the Great Emperor realm. He has the ability to fight against great emperors. This means that Zi Xiang has really been banished to the outer space. This method is too terrifying. No matter what, this young man is strangely powerful. It's best not to provoke him. The three of them discussed for a while and decided to listen to Emo Chingyun's orders. Then, the three of them stopped thinking and sat down to recover from their injuries. Seeing that the three of them were recovering, Emo Chingyun didn't disturb them. He looked at the formations around him. These formations are of a very high level. If we use them, we should be able to stop the dark demons for a while. At this moment, Emo Chingyun couldn't help but think of the situation when he fought against ZK and the others in the Wufa ancestors' tomb. Back then, he'd used the formations to stop ZK and the others by himself. He hadn't been able to enter the Wufa ancestors' tomb for a long time. Now, his strength had improved and he had the help of Enchun and the others. If he used these formations to break through, no one would be able to enter the tunnel unless it was a dark demon Saint Emperor. Once they've recovered, we'll activate these formations first and then slowly break through them. Emo Chingyun made up his mind. They sat down and waited for the three of them to finish recovering. About a few hours later, the three of them finished their cultivation. The injuries they had sustained earlier had all healed up. Seeing that the three of them had recovered, Emo Chingyun looked at them and prepared to tell them to attack. Chapter 3001. The three of you, follow me and activate all the restrictions in the passage. Emo Chingyun arrived in front of the three of them and ordered them to seal off the passageway. Hearing Emo Chingyun's order, the three of them were bewildered, not understanding Emo Chingyun's meaning. "Young master, if the passage is sealed, how are we going to get out?" one of them asked in confusion. Hearing this person's question, the other two were also puzzled, but they had the same thought in their minds. Before the three people's puzzled gazes, Emo Chingyun explained solemnly, "The three of you said that it will take a long time to break the restrictions in the passage. I sent Zi Xiang into the void space, and the dark devil race can't contact him. They will definitely send people here again, so I have to take precautions. At that time, even if they discover us with these restrictions, we can delay them for a while and not be caught off guard." After hearing Emo Chingyun's explanation, the three people revealed a look of understanding Emo Chingyun's meaning. Based on the current situation, it was indeed necessary for Emo Chingyun to prepare for a rainy day. Then, the three people did not ask any more questions and began to activate the restrictions in the passage. As the three people moved backward, the restrictions were activated one after another, exuding shocking fluctuations of energy. A few hours later, all the formations and taboos in the passageway made the three of them excited. Some of the broken restrictions were repaired by them, showing their terrifying power once again. Since the restrictions have been activated, you three can continue to break the restrictions. Seeing that everything was ready, Mo Qingyun ordered the three people to continue breaking the remaining restrictions. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, the three people did not hesitate and immediately went to break the remaining restrictions. While the three of them went to break the restrictions, Mo Qingyun did not stay any longer. In a flicker, he entered the Fortune mainland. Sensing that Mo Qingyun had suddenly disappeared, the three of them trembled and panic flashed in their eyes. One of them exclaimed, "This young master's methods are truly unfathomable. This place is enveloped by so many formations and restrictions, yet he was able to disappear without anyone noticing." Hearing this person's words, the other two revealed fearful expressions. One of them said, "Don't worry about that young master. Let's break the formation as soon as possible. Once we're done with this mission, we can leave this place as soon as possible. Otherwise, when the dark demon race comes, they will vent their anger on us. We don't have that young master's methods." After the three of them discussed for a while, they abandoned all distracting thoughts and threw themselves into breaking the formation. On the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and appeared beside Wang Zishu and the others. When they were dealing with Zi Mui and the others, Mo Qingyun was worried that Wang Zishu would be injured, so he had sent her to the Fortune mainland. When Wang Zishu arrived at the Fortune mainland, she immediately joined Yi Wuyo and the others, chatting happily. "Qingyun, you're here." Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, all the women's faces lit up with joy, and they hurried to welcome Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun walked to a stone bench and sat down under the women's greeting. There was a hint of displeasure in his eyes as he looked at Wang Zishu. "The dark demon race is invading. Why didn't you send me a voice transmission? Also, why didn't you send me a voice transmission when you were captured by the Violet Sun Valley?" Before Mo Qingyun left the Divine Wood mainland, he had given Wang Zishu a communication jade talisman, telling her to contact him if she was in danger. But Wang Zishu did not do so, which made Mo Qingyun very unhappy. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was really angry, Wang Zishu lowered her head guiltily, revealing a wronged expression as she said, "The dark demon race that came to invade the Divine Wood mainland is too strong. I was worried that even if you came back, you wouldn't be their opponent, and would fall into danger instead. That's why I didn't dare to contact you. I thought that it would be better for me to die alone than to die with everyone else." Wang Zishu's answer made Mo Qingyun's heart ache, and his gaze became gentler. Wang Zishu's reason for doing so was entirely for his sake, so he couldn't blame her anymore. Looking at Wang Zishu with a gentler gaze, Mo Qingyun also felt some self-blame, thinking to himself, "I've long thought about helping them improve their strength, but I haven't done it. If they were all great emperors, even if they couldn't resist the dark demon race's invasion, it shouldn't be difficult for them to escape." Mo Qingyun thought in his heart, and looked at the women with an apologetic gaze, saying, "I can't blame you for this. It's all because I'm not strong enough to protect you. There won't be a next time." Seeing Mo Qingyun's change in attitude, the women's eyes reddened, and they were deeply moved. They knew very well that Mo Qingyun was behaving this way because Mo Qingyun cared about them. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little awkward, the understanding when Zhaodi smiled faintly at everyone and said, "This matter is already in the past. Don't dwell on it anymore. Just be careful next time." The atmosphere immediately eased after Wen Zhaodi's words, and they all began to change the topic. Thinking of the current situation, Yi Wuyo frowned and said, "Since the dark demon race has invaded, we can't stay on the Divine Wood continent any longer. Where should we go next? Do you have any plans? I'll take you to the absolute beginning star field." Emo Qingyun explained his plan to them when he heard Yi Wuyo's question. He said, although the absolute beginning demon hall isn't a peak 5-star force and can't face off against the dark demon race head-on, it won't be easy for the dark demon race to invade the absolute beginning demon hall. Moreover, if we can obtain the Emperor Blood Essence Jade, the absolute beginning demon hall's strength will rise greatly, entering a higher realm. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the worries in everyone's heart lessened significantly. After comforting the women, Emo Qingyun did not stop talking. He said to the others, also, I will seize the time to look for treasures to change your cultivation talent, so that you can break through to the Emperor realm as soon as possible and have the ability to protect yourselves in this endless star field. And we will also work hard to cultivate and won't drag you down. The women nodded their heads with determination. Seeing the women's determination, Emo Qingyun did not say much, and began to guide them in their cultivation. After guiding the women's cultivation for a while, Emo Qingyun went to find Emo Hongtian to ask about the situation in the Divine Wood continent. After learning that everything was going smoothly, Emo Qingyun left the Fortune mainland and returned to the passage. He couldn't be sure when the dark demon race would come, so he had to be vigilant at all times. Therefore, he couldn't stay on the Fortune mainland for too long. He had to stay in the passage to guard against the dark demon race. End of this chapter. Chapter 3002. They still need some time to break the formation restriction. I can't just sit and wait. Looking at the 3 people in front of him, Emo Qingyun started to think about how to improve his strength. With my current situation, it's not unrealistic to improve my cultivation in a short time. Moreover, if I want to improve my cultivation, I have to enter the Fortune continent to hunt Grand Mist spirits. It's impossible at the moment. As for improving formations, bloodline, and physique, it's also impossible. It requires a great opportunity. It seems that I can only start from the aspect of divine abilities. I have to learn or strengthen a divine ability. Emo Qingyun thought for a while and had a direction. He knew what to do next. Even if the various divine abilities I have mastered are strengthened, their power won't change much. Emo Qingyun thought for a while and gave up the idea of strengthening his divine abilities. He decided to cultivate a new divine ability. He thought to himself, Anchen is from the heaven realm. He should know some powerful divine abilities. I wonder if there are any suitable ones for me. When this thought appeared in his mind, Emo Qingyun summoned Anchen and prepared to ask him for advice on a divine ability. Soon, Anchen appeared beside Emo Qingyun and waited for Emo Qingyun's orders. Emo Qingyun asked, Anchen, do you have any divine abilities that are suitable for me to cultivate now? Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Anchen frowned and began to think. Anchen was silent for a moment, then he said to Emo Qingyun, Master, I have a set of sword techniques that are suitable for you to cultivate now. Emo Qingyun was curious. He looked at Anchen expectantly and said, What kind of sword technique? Tell me immediately. Yes. Anchen nodded. Then, Anchen condensed a mark and hid it between Emo Qingyun's eyebrows. The mark entered Emo Qingyun's forehead, and the contents of the technique appeared in Emo Qingyun's mind. 9 Darkness Sword Technique. After reading the sword technique in his mind, Emo Qingyun had a general understanding of its situation. According to the description of the sword technique, this 9 deadly shadow swords should be a type of assassination sword technique. Emo Qingyun noticed this and frowned. He was puzzled and said, I usually like to fight head-on. This kind of assassination sword technique shouldn't be suitable for me to cultivate, right? Anchen seemed to have expected that Emo Qingyun would have such doubts after reading the sword technique's incantation. As a result, he was not surprised by Emo Qingyun's actions at all. He explained to Emo Qingyun very naturally, Master, you don't know. This sword technique is indeed like what you said to ordinary people, but your situation is different. Emo Qingyun was puzzled. Anchun didn't stop talking and continued to explain to Emo Qingyun, "You've cultivated the Pegasus Realm Leap, so you can easily hide your body. It's the most suitable for you to cultivate this sword technique." After hearing Anchen's words, Emo Qingyun showed a look of understanding. The doubts in his heart were solved. When he used the Pegasus Realm Leap, it was equivalent to entering a state of concealment. Although this state lasted for a very short time, it was enough for him to use the 9 Darkness Sword technique and launch a sneak attack on the enemy. In this way, this sword technique 9 Absolute Shadow Swords was indeed very suitable for him. Seeing that Emo Qingyun understood, Anchun didn't stop talking and continued to say to him, "Other than this 9 Darkness Sword technique, I have another divine ability that's more suitable for you to cultivate now." "What divine ability?" Emo Qingyun looked curious and asked expectantly. Anchun didn't answer. He condensed another handprint and sent it into Emo Qingyun's mind. Tyrant Dragon's Sky-Shattering Technique. After digesting the memory in his mind, Emo Qingyun also comprehended the second divine ability's cultivation chant. The style of this Tyrant Dragon's Sky-Shattering Fist was completely opposite to the 9 Darkness Sword technique. It was a kind of charging and breaking through enemy lines. The fighting style was the most primitive head-on confrontation without the slightest fanciness or skill. In addition, the cultivation requirements of the Tyrant Dragon's Sky-Shattering Fist were also extremely harsh. If one wanted to cultivate the Tyrant Dragon's Sky-Shattering Fist, one must have a terrifying physique. Otherwise, if one forced himself to cultivate the Tyrant Dragon's Sky-Shattering Fist, he would only destroy his body. However, Emo Qingyun didn't have the slightest concern or worry about this. Compared to the 9 Darkness Sword technique, this Tyrant Dragon's Sky-Shattering Fist is more suitable for me. After reading the chant of the Tyrant Dragon's Sky-Shattering Fist, Emo Qingyun showed a satisfied smile and muttered to himself with a faint smile. Then, he no longer hesitated and prepared to cultivate the 2 skills. "First, I'll cultivate the 9 Darkness Sword technique. I'll take my time with the Tyrant Dragon's Sky-Shattering Fist." Although Emo Qingyun preferred the Tyrant Dragon's Sky-Shattering Fist, the 9 Darkness Sword technique was better in terms of attack power. If Emo Qingyun could use it properly, he could even kill a great Emperor Realm expert with a single strike of his sword. In addition, Emo Qingyun now grasped the opportunity very well. Even if it was a great sage expert, Emo Qingyun could make him suffer a little. The 9 Darkness Sword technique has a total of 3 levels, divided into Split Shadow, Overlapping Shadow, and Dark Shadow. After studying the 9 Absolute Shadow Swords for a while, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately began to cultivate it. Emo Qingyun raised his hand and the 9 Bull Divine Sword fell into his hand and entered a mysterious state. Then, Emo Qingyun waved his right hand and blasted out a mysterious sword light. After the sword light blasted out, Emo Qingyun's figure separated and became 2 of him. If someone who was not familiar with Emo Qingyun saw the 2 figures, they would definitely not be able to distinguish the real one from the fake. The cultivation method of the 9 Darkness Sword technique is a little similar to the slash of the 9 Heavens Gods and Demons. Emo Qingyun had this discovery and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He recalled the comprehension of the cultivation of the slash of the 9 Heavens Gods and Demons. Emo Qingyun thought in his mind and his comprehension of the 9 Darkness Sword technique immediately became more thorough. Then, Emo Qingyun waved his sword again and the figures separated again. This time, the number of identities that Emo Qingyun separated had reached as many as 5. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Anchun, who was watching from the side, was immediately shocked. Emo Qingyun's progress had really frightened him. He said in surprise, "Master's cultivation comprehension is really too terrifying." Even some geniuses in the heaven realm would need at least a few days to reach the level of 5 shadows if they wanted to cultivate the 9 darkness sword technique. At this moment, while Chen was shocked, Mo Qingyun waved his sword again. This time, the number of identities that he separated directly reached as many as 7. Seeing such a scene, Chen was stunned and his emotions were extremely complicated. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.